Hi there. I would like to begin the episode by thanking Peter Flink, Tim Lance, Holloway Tape, Chip Chasterson, and Chris Simon. All of these people have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and supported not just this show, but this entire network, and got not just that thanks, but a whole bunch of extra stuff, like full premium episodes of this show. If you have gone and done that, we can't thank you enough. If you haven't, consider giving it a shot. Once again, that is patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Life is Strange, which is a cinematic adventure game developed by Don't Nod Entertainment and published by Square Enix for modern systems in 2015.
Yeah. This is an executive produced episode, which means that somebody, one of our patrons, patronizes us at a level where they're able to give us some games to choose from, and we chose this one. This is produced by Jason Horner. So thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you for having us finally get around to playing this and talking about it.
Yeah, this is something I've had on my radar forever. And I kind of Telltale burned me out on Telltale before I got to this, and then I just kind of didn't check it out, but I'm really glad I did. I liked it a lot. Yeah,
it's different. I mean, it's similar, but it's different.
It's exceedingly similar.
Yeah.
It's a very much like I am kind of surprised that there weren't more of these. That like The Walking Dead didn't totally birth a genre outside of just Telltale's output.
Yeah.
I was, but this is definitely like a Walking Dead like or a Walking Dead clone.
Yes.
In many, many ways.
Yeah, I was thinking more in terms of subject matter, and then obviously because of the powers, right?
Somebody didn't get all the choices in Walking Dead re-unlock. Lee's chronomancy.
He gets bit, and he can control time now.
He gets bit by a time zombie, and then he gets the chronomancy.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. I just said that game branches more than I thought it did.
The time powers and stuff, we're gonna have to park on that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because I think that does some really interesting things to what this game kind of can and cannot do.
Yes.
Just in general, and then as compared to the Telltale style.
Mm-hmm.
As a basic level, though, this is a Telltale episodic style game. You play as a character named Max Caulfield, who's a student at a prestigious art academy who learns that she has the ability to rewind time. Among other powers,
right, and
uses that to try and save her estranged best friend Chloe, and that sets off a series of branching issues and such. This is all while she's dealing with a lot of drama and intrigue and like CSI shit.
Yeah. So quite a bit going on. Several threads that kind of converge throughout this. Yeah. So a couple of caveats here. First, this is an extremely story-heavy game. So all bets are off regarding spoilers, right? We're going to try and relate the story and talk about which beats work and do not work. But, if you have had it in your mind to play this game, maybe play the game to, we'll be here. In fact, we'll put in a 15-hour pause.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and hit that up. And then we'll put in an additional pause. You can play the sequels and side quest stuff that I did not play.
Right.
The guidance games. So just before, I guess like giving the recommendation early just because it is that kind of spoiler thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like when we do those games, we usually say like stop and play this game. Yeah. Like if we really, and I think that if you are down for that, like if you liked The Walking Dead,
mm-hmm.
like you would like this.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, I think that it is, it has all the attendant, kind of issues with those as a game.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of an interactive novel than anything, or like more like an interactive movie
Mm-hmm.
than a more traditional game. If you got to the end of The Walking Dead and you're like, God, my choices didn't mean anything, you're still going to have that feeling here.
Yeah,
Like,
it's gonna
there's
bum you out.
some choices, it's going to bum you out. Like, it is railroading you towards an ending choice, and what you do along the way, I've always resisted the idea that it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
What it matters to is just like you choosing what you see and you getting to role play without consequence for a little bit.
Yes.
And if that sounds good to you, like, hey, I don't care how this really ends, I'm going to kind of make my own little version of this character and do the things I think I would do for a while. If that sounds fun, I think this is a really good game.
Yeah.
For that, really good example of the genre. But I'm not saying like you must play this. This is going to be a generation defining thing if you don't already like very narrative focused adventure games.
Yes. I think that is a good warning, especially about, what's your relationship with choice in games. And, additionally, if you played those games a while ago, if you played Telltale games, 7 years ago when The Walking Dead came out and you felt burned out on them like Gary, it's probably been long enough that you might be hungry for them, because this just kind of isn't really a thing that happens too much anymore. Yeah. I mean, there's
this
Detroit.
went away with the studio. Sure, like there's David Cage. There's pretty much those things. Like the influences that are listed on this game are The Walking Dead, From Home, and Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
So it's like David Cage games, which are like a story game but with a terrible story, right? Like it's like this if this had nothing going for it in terms of narrative,
Right.
That's almost all it has going for it.
Right.
One thing that is another part of that warning is that time mechanic might make you think that there's additional puzzle mechanics, or if you are like, I love time manipulation games because I love thinking in that way to do puzzles.
Yeah.
There's very little of that.
This is not Braid.
This is not Braid. This is not a puzzle. Like this has fewer, as many puzzles as The Walking Dead. Like I was expecting a greater mechanical focus to mean more puzzles. There's almost nothing.
Right.
So it is just it is a narrative. Like it's just sitting down and watching 5 movies.
Right.
So if that sounds good to you, I think this is a good example of that. If that sounds bad to you, this isn't going to change your mind.
Right.
So yeah. And because this is very dense, we're not going to hit on every single choice, partly because it's dense and partly because the choices don't ultimately end up mattering. And one of the tricks, like a good version of these Walking Dead likes, what they do is they make you feel like choices are going to matter. So the decision is where all the value happens.
Right.
Like it's like, man, I don't know if I should do this. And you have to kind of play along and be like, in my head, I know nothing will happen.
Right.
You have to just kind of fool yourself into doing that. So we're not going to talk about all those, but also they don't actually make that big of a difference to the narrative.
Right. In addition to this, like when you're on your way from story to story or scene to scene, there's often small little interactions you can do, and that is where a lot of the incidental cast is explored, and there are kind of miniature story arcs that happen along those within the game. We're just not going to be able to talk about all of those because this game has a lot of characters and kind of a lot of incident that goes on kind of around the margins. If this were more zoomed in, we could take this episode by episode. I don't really feel like making that podcast. But if we don't talk about your favorite little scene, it's just because, that is part of the, just something that fell into the margins.
Because this episode's going to be, over 2 hours anyway.
Right.
And we just don't want to, have it be, we don't want this to be a 4.5 hour podcast.
Right.
On Life is Strange. And it may end up being, we'll say we're starting now. So we'll see. One of the other things about those little interactions is there is a kind of a formula to them once you figure them out, which is that, and they stated this, the devs in interviews and stuff, but they start with an archetype and then they subvert it. Archetype and then they subvert it. So the idea is just this character who is kind of this version character in the Breakfast Club. Club is actually on the opposite end of the Breakfast Club man of wheel. And that's where that's what happens with those stories. So it doesn't mean they're bad or the content within them is bad, but they are not revelatory.
Right.
So the actual mechanics of this are you kind of going scene by scene as Max, doing some adventure game things. So some light puzzle elements, but mostly dialogue trees, too much fetch quest stuff, too much go here and do this things, so much though that the game like makes fun of it in the end because they
Yeah.
know that it was a mistake. And then a little bit of light investigation detective work.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, like kind of under the subheading of investigation is just kind of like looking at objects in the environment and getting Max's reaction to them.
Which is, yeah, it's investigation, but mostly it's flavor.
Yes.
You know, like if you're playing this game to get everything, and if you're very invested in this world, you are kind of Roombaing around every clickable point in a scene just to hear a sentence about it.
Yeah.
And this ends up being something that like does play into a couple choices sometimes and can be really interesting, but it's also something that we're not going to cover much of because in the act of playing this game, I ended up eventually doing less of this and deciding to do it more like a role-playing game, because when I was looking at everything, like sometimes you'd get something meaningful and sometimes you would get nothing from it. There's a lot of chaff in this stuff. So sometimes there'd be a poster and you'd be like, oh, it's kind of crooked. And it's like, well, you know, I had to wait for like my guy to walk up to that and the voice actor to deliver it and everything like that. That was not really worth my time.
Right.
And I don't know why this is a clickable object. You know, there's a lot of chaff there. And I don't know if that's an intentional way to kind of obfuscate the stuff that's important, so you don't law of conservation of detail yourself into just beelining to the meaningful objects, or if that is, you know, just there could have been a little bit more to that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
No idea. It's a tough balance. You know, there is good stuff there, but there is a lot. I got fatigued, and I think that, you know, so I played this before, and that happened to me as well because I waited until the entire thing was out. I could definitely see that patience building back up if you were waiting a few months in between each of these episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I kind of mainline this, you know, one episode a night for 5 nights.
Yeah.
And that was not a bad way to do it, but I definitely got to the point. It does that thing where, like, I think that games do this where it's a little bit of a contradiction, where the better they are at building the central conflict, the greater sense of urgency there is, which gets in the way of other things they do. Yeah. And I know we've talked about that before on games, but where I'm like, stop wasting your time with this. Like, I want to know what happens with the mystery you've set up. You know, and then, but they also want you to take your time and like smell the flowers. And those two ideas are like really often in contrast in games, and especially in these type of games.
Well, I mean, and also in a story, or at least a conceit where time categorically does not matter.
Yeah.
To what's going on a little bit.
But but it's just, it's more that I want to, like, yes, my character could theoretically like take all the time in the world to examine which posters are crooked, like go on Crooked Force, like, and just check, you know, straighten all the world's posters, you know, but the player just want to know what happens. And I would assume that Chloe would as well. Like, even though Chloe has all the time in the world, she's not, you know, she still has interest in stuff in my world. Like, she still should have a sense of urgency.
But it's like the fact that Max can rewind everything, I think that probably explains a little bit of why she's not, why at no point does she say, why are you looking at this poster? My friend is about to die. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Because she just knows that she can take it back, even though, like, to be fair, also, like, eventually that becomes, the consequences for that become very obvious, actually, like, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you would think that she would be like, okay, actually, I need to be more judicious with this. The main character takes longer than I want to come to that realization by like multiple episodes.
Yeah.
So
you only have so much head blood, Maxine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get one nosebleed a year, and it's a holiday. I don't need all these bonus nosebleeds. So this is how the time manipulation works. You can click to rewind a scene, you know, kind of like Braid, but the two different things is she keeps all of her knowledge, all the knowledge and items she picks up, and she retains her movement, which is real weird. Like, what does this look like to other people? Does it look like she teleports?
I think so.
You know, yeah, which is pretty strange, and that's unusual to do it that way. And the way this is used is general. Like, there's the things that count as puzzles are a lot of like, I'm picking up a remote control, but I knock over a drink, and I'd rather not knock over that drink. There are a lot of like that kind of quote unquote puzzle. Yeah. There's a few other things that use the movement aspect of it a little bit more that are a little bit more puzzly.
It's often about like doing something destructive to get into a place and then rewinding the destruction. To make it so that never happened.
Yep. Yeah. And then you can also rewind dialogue choices, obviously. which is really, a big deal. Like that's the primary thing you're doing in this game, and being able to rewind it almost becomes this gamified save scum.
Yeah.
Element to it.
Like real life save scumming is the best way to describe that, I think.
Yeah.
And you would think, okay, this is going to take the gravity out of these choices. Again, with the baseline, none of the choices matter because it's a Telltale game, but you would feel that it would take the wind out of those sails. In effect, though, the way this is written and the way that it's presented is that the undoing introduces further ambiguity. Again, it does kind of like a little bit of a Witcher thing. The consequences are not going to be immediately apparent to you. All you get is little, doo, 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 and the butterfly shows up saying, hey, this is going to matter in the future.
Hello. Yeah, a butterfly shows up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm late. The A train was backed up.
Yeah.
But and then Max always second guesses herself in her monologue, and that is contagious to a certain degree until you figure out that that's kind of,
you see the strings.
That's kind of her problem. That she second guesses. Yeah, until
you see that that's her problem, until you realize the degree to which it will matter.
Right,
these things will actually count. So like making that's very clever, right? Like the something that people want to do in these type of games and dialogue choice games anyway, making that the plot and giving the character that power is really interesting to me, and does let you explore a lot more of, and these games are about that kind of exploration, right? Like just how much of the world do you feel like taking in while you're on the ride. Lets you do more of it, lets you kind of Roomba up more facts and more dialogue, and you do get to just kind of see what happens. Like what would happen if I was this way?
If you're role playing as Max and you say, okay, I want to see what the transgressive outcome is, but I don't want to commit to it. I can throw my drink in this person's face and then rewind it.
At some point along the way, it definitely became a thing where I became more satisfied by having a more concrete version of Max. Actually, like fairly early on, I stopped hedging my bets with stuff, and part of it was the weird third aspect of that nothing mattering is there's a freedom in arbitrariness or in being on rails, I guess. So I ended up being like, I want to do the transgressive thing, and I wanted to play Max as somebody who because she has this power doesn't give a fuck about things. Like that's another aspect of it too. Like when you say the problem with Max is she's indecisive, there's also an element to where she is just very risk averse until she's not. And this power is like this coming of age thing about this character who or like is an overlying metaphor on a character who gets comfortable taking some risk. And seeing that happen was really cool. Like it happened with me as the player. Actually, you know what? Fuck this bully character. Like I don't have anything to worry about, and I'm a superhero now, so this person can go to hell. Fuck them. And like that's not necessarily the correct answer, but there is no correct answer because nothing happens. Like there are a few of these things that end in actual death where you have to rewind because you're going to die. But most of the time the story goes on. The biggest consequence, I guess, by volume, almost like insects are the biggest species by biomass. The biggest consequence is these small little details, primarily the way people react to you or their idea of you. And who you can save, I guess. So to speak, in the end, like both literally when the disaster happens, but then also kind of like in a general sense, like who is savable.
And all this holds with, some of the ultimate themes of this. Max's power inclines her to try and fix everything, but you can't because so much of this is out of your hands. You question your impulse to try to fix everything, question your impulse to necessarily interfere with people, and interfere with their lives. Is one of the kind of messaging. This when you go back and you go through a dialogue, and if it's something you've already seen, you can skip it. Same problem with fucking 999. Usually, like if one word is different, you cannot skip it, and this drives me nuts. But usually you can fast forward through that. So let's talk about the writing. Because the thing about this game, everybody's meme index card on it is that one line, go fuck yourselfie.
Go fuck yourselfie, and lots of use of the word hella.
It is full of slang. It has a definite kind of voice to it. the slang is a symptom of the problem, but it's not exactly the entirety of the problem. It is one criticism that I heard of it is it sounds like adults trying to write young girls. Adult dudes trying to write young girls. This does somewhat even out, but it is a pretty pungent style choice to get through.
It's very bracing.
Yes.
Like on first doing it. Like this ends up in some ways, depending on the person, has become like, so my buddy Derek, who you met, I think he would like what this game turns into. I think that he would not get past episode 1.
Right.
And I've told him that. I'm like, hey, I think this is a cool game. I think you would like the story it turns into, but like you have to really be okay with some slang.
Yeah.
And I know people who like love the slang part of it, and they're like, oh, this is what it was like for, this sounds real to me.
It depends on where you grew up, I think, maybe.
It depends on where and when.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm just too old for this shit. Like quite literally.
And for me, I was I wanted to keep an eye on that, because how much of this is me not liking young people and also not liking young girls.
It's but there's truth in both sides of that, I think, where it's just like, yes, any kind of like, but I've heard young girls talk, like I've been on a bus before, and they do not talk like this.
No, they don't talk like the Diablo Cody characters.
Or Diablo characters. Like they're not always talking about their heraldic cubes and shit. Like heraldic cubes. Like, girl, where'd you get those cubes? That heraldic cube? It's so cute. It's more like heraldic cute. The heraldic cute. They sound like Diablo Cody characters. Juno is a touch point.
Yeah.
This part of, I think, also Max, like the character. I think that she's not my least favorite, but I think she's in the bottom half of the voice actors in this.
Yeah.
When she says these slang things, everything is in this weird flat affect that I think is supposed to sound teenagery, but some of these lines and this slang sounds so silly with no enthusiasm. And she does not express enthusiasm very much. Like she's a really, really low key character. And like, I just don't associate those two things together.
No.
I get that she is low key and struggling to have fun, and she's a teenager and that sucks, and she's miserable all the time.
Yeah.
All that makes sense to me, but it's weird that she then will turn around and just in a real flat way be like, yeah, hella bacon and sausage. Let's get that breakfast, or something like that. And I'm like, just the same way I said it, that's how she would, hella breakfast and sausage. Get eggs in me, something like that. Like she just kind of says these things as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I think this problem lets up as the seasons go on is you get introduced to her buddy, to Chloe, who has none of this. Like Chloe is really, really well voice acted and lives this dialogue stuff perfectly.
Yeah. Ashley Birch does an amazing job.
She does a really, really great job. It's like one of my favorite like voice acting performances in a game, right? So it's just the main character, but when you're starting out, you are just kind of in that main character's shoes, and hearing her in her monologue, you're clicking on things and like, that poster's hella crooked. It's in Crooklyn, but I don't know.
I don't think she's dropped her references to Crooklyn.
This is like, I got to put in a Spike Lee to straighten out this poster. It's in Crooklyn or something like. It's really, really rough initially. Yeah. And you just have to get used to it, like jumping into a very cold swimming pool.
Yeah. And also there is a strong kind of hipster element to this, which again is more like, the fashion and trends of a certain set of people in the late 2010s and in the late 2000s and early 2010s, probably will turn you off. I think that hipster is a meaningless word, but that is something that is levied against this. It is very stylistic.
People mean something different when they say it.
Yeah.
And it's the job. It's not your job, but one of the things you can do when someone calls something a hipster is try to figure out what they actually don't like about it. Like they should have done that before they opened their mouth, but they're using it as shorthand.
Right.
It's like when people say pretentious. And what they mean, I think, when they say hipster is that these are very fashion conscious characters they don't like.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's a real criticism, like not liking the main character of this, because she's so quippy and because she's so flat and all of these things is reasonable.
Yeah.
What the game does really well is plot. Like, I think that the plot and kind of the scenarios and situations and some of the characters are really good.
Right.
And you have to kind of get to, like, if I was recommending this to anybody who I think would be turned off by that dialogue, I'd say, like, get to the end of like episode 1. When it starts getting in these kind of cliffhangers and reveals its intrigue,
Mm-hmm.
like, get to that point and then see if that will carry you along until the dialogue gets better.
Right.
Which is what happened with me. Like, I've seen screenshots of this that would fucking chill your blood. Like, there's just individual lines taken out of context that make me want to die. You just have to get into the plot stuff and the plot stuff is uniformly, like, really pretty good and interesting.
Yeah. You would also have to get past the fact that this is a high school setting. There is absolutely kind of a Buffy kind of feel to this, right?
Yep. A lot of nostalgia. If you have a lot of nostalgia for like, if you love teens and you think that, like, high school is just a very interesting time, this will appeal to you more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because this takes place in a high school, it is an anime.
Sure. Yeah, because we'll just give an entire period of life over to to that medium. They just get dominion over that.
Yep. We have lost
Persona
that ground.
means that. Yeah, it just means that that anything that takes, like, I went to high school, but that doesn't matter.
You were in an anime for 4 years.
Yeah, I guess I was in an anime for 4 years. It sure was anime like. Yeah.
But yeah, the specifically, Chloe is the standout in this, and she lifts Max up. And
their relationship is really good. Like, the best character traits of Max come out through Chloe, and the game, like, ultimately is about that relationship, which you don't necessarily know in the beginning, but that's really the crux everything balances on.
Yes. It's them, to some extent trying to mend their broken friendship because they were estranged, right? And
life is estranged.
Yeah. and I had fun getting to know some of the other students in Max's school. Even though it is kind of the same trick over and over again. I don't know, incidental characters. It's fun because there doesn't have to be a lot of investment to get a miniature story out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting and pretty good.
Yeah.
I like it more than I like the kind of rhythm of this, where it's like check in on different people.
Mm-hmm.
I think is more successful than it is in Persona.
Yeah,
which is the closest touchstone to this, of, like, waking up in a high school and checking in on your friends.
Yeah.
That even in the Persona games I like, that wasn't my favorite part of them. I think this is, in a game with this pacing and this length, that just lasts better.
Yeah.
So I like this is interesting because I think I don't agree with this.
Okay.
I don't think this is a good looking game. I think this looks janky and cheap. Personally. Like,
So I just said in the notes here, I say, I personally think this game is pretty. It does look cheap, but they do make stylistic choices, specifically with the way textures are drawn, with posters are drawn. Different elements appear to be hand drawn, kind of in marker or pastel. And there's lots going on with, like, shaders and lighting that kind of bring a pretty cohesive look to the world that stops at the characters, because they are rendered in a different way and also not animated that well.
Yeah, the people, like, generally look okay to me. Like high end real dolls. Like, not like
none of that secondhand shit.
No second real deals. But the idea where you look at an ultra detailed photograph, and when you pick it up, it just looks like somebody scribbled a version of it in marker. I hated it. I thought it looked really dumb and just cheap. Like, it felt I understand, like, it was cheap, right? Like, it's a budgetary concern. Like, they got Square Enix to publish this, and Square Enix were the people who convinced them to do this as an episode thing to save costs,
right?
And have an income revenue while stream in while it was being made and stuff. I understand it's not a high budget game, but every time that happened, it felt like I had done it, or like I was like, oh, like, me and my friends made a game. It didn't feel professional. To me to do that.
I think the cohesion of it, the fact that it is, kind of a flat level of quality across, made it feel like a conscious stylistic choice, and that to me read kind of more strongly than it read for you.
It's weird to me to have the opposite, to have something look detailed from a distance, and then when you look at it, it loses all of its detail and becomes like it has like a filter over it almost.
Yeah.
That was a clingy thing to me. I'm looking at this closer, but it looks way worse. Versus from a distance, where it looks not great or anything, but looks like an attempt at realism.
Yeah.
I guess, I think that this would be like, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. Like, it's worth, like, taking a look and seeing what they do with the close-up textures of this and seeing if that works for you.
Yeah. And also, if anything is going to be subjective, it's going to be visual style.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like the actual like moving around the world and stuff all looks fine to me.
Yeah.
Like it's serviceable. It's just the the part, and it is like, I mean, again, I think that you're right. It is intentional.
Mm-hmm.
When you read from the the developers and stuff, this was to have this impressionistic
Mm-hmm.
idea, but it also just looks like it was like, oh, this saved so much money though.
Yeah.
Like this is somebody putting in a very small amount of work on this drawing.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that, like, it's, it comes from kind of working in animation in the past and understanding the kind of how expensive assets are and having made those exact same compromises in the past as well. I don't know how much of that is coming out for me either, and that is absolutely not me paying from the industry.
Well,
I don't
even if it's
for
from
it to
the industry, the argument is that, hey, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's like, even if it is industry knowledge, it's not supporting the art.
Right.
I think it's it is more of a subjective thing, but it's something that this felt serviceable to and it's not bad or anything. It's not like it's
clangs. Clangs is a good word for
it. Clanged for me, like it's not it got the job done. It wasn't the focus though.
Right.
Yeah. Music's a big part of that too. Like music is a little bit divisive in this because it leans into the 2008 kind of reverb soaked singer songwriter music. Like it has a soundtrack that's like part gentle ukuleles and stuff, and then part pop music.
Yes. Yeah. So whether or not that puts you to sleep or engages you, that's going to be up to you. What I would say is it is of a piece with the rest of the game. This game does have, and this game and these characters have an indie kind of aesthetic and appeal to them. But if you're just listening to the tracks, you're going to get a lot of waste with ukulele singing about breakfast.
What I think I wanted for this, because I do think it reflects character, is I really wanted all of the music to be diegetic.
Yeah.
Because you can turn on a stereo in people's rooms a lot of the time and listen to music that they like, which is something I dig. Like that's a trope that mansion, right? Like I like that kind of thing. But there are a couple points in this where it would switch to like a machinima music video.
Yep.
And I find those deeply embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think it's the end of episode 2. There's a long one where it's like people on a bus just checking in on all the characters over like an indie song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying to think of like showing this to somebody who didn't know video games as like a music video, and it's just like this super serious music with these real dolls like sitting around staring pensively.
Yeah,
like let's check in on our collection of real dolls. Like I just think that part felt embarrassing. I liked it when she put on music, or when she puts in headphones early on. There's a scene, and I'm like, that makes total sense to me. She would like this music.
Yeah.
I really wish it had all been diegetic. The actual like score stuff I think is fine.
Yeah.
It does the job.
Yeah. So talking about the production history of this game, Donut did shop this around to a bunch of publishers, but Square Enix was really the only one who would let them make the game they wanted to make. Specifically, other publishers didn't want to have a female protagonist. They didn't feel like it would be, marketable. Donut says that like that was, they didn't take that stand for an explicitly political reason. They just felt that the story wouldn't work if Max and Chloe were, not
a dude.
It was a dude and a girl.
And I get it. Like this definitely has this story feels like the right story for them. This should not have been gender swapped. I think so. I think that was a great choice. Donut is a French developer, and the story was originally written in French and then localized to English for recording and turning into a game. It was written by a short story writer, I want to say. And then they changed it into a game version.
Yeah. So the game came out, or at least the first episode did, on October 21st of 2015, the same day that Marty McFly went to in Back to the Future 2. So cool.
Time stuff.
Time.
So this game sold real well. It kind of put Donut on the map. They'd done a game before this.
Remember Me with Capcom. Yeah.
Which I'd never even heard of. Until I was like looking into this game, and apparently it's kind of neat. I look into it, but this is what sold really well. They got tons of awards for this. It did great and kind of made them a great like middleweight dev or a known middleweight dev, and like ultimately led to them being able to make Vampire. So I'm extremely happy about that because I love Vampire.
Vampire's Yeah. So something that is kind of bears saying, and something that kind of came up when we announced that we were doing this, is that there is a pronounced criticism of this game from the LGBT community, specifically because of this game's usage or misusage of queer media tropes. We recognize that exists, specifically, the problem of barrier gaze is the primary accusation levied at the end of this game specifically. I don't personally feel qualified to apply that reading to this because I would be relating it secondhand. So I'm saying this just so people are aware that we're aware of that, but we're going to read it the way that we read it.
Yeah, it's so for people who don't know, barrier gaze is the my understanding of the trope is that the idea that like a queer character in media is more likely to die than a non-queer character.
Yeah.
In this thing, and that something like that happens to a character who is canonically queer in this can have a bad end.
Right.
In this, the reading about this that I did is very interesting because. So one, like I'm always interested in that kind of stuff because I didn't feel like I had that experience, but it's one of those things where one, it's always a good reminder that any oppressed people don't speak as a monolithic block. Like, when we say this has some criticism from the community, it's not that like every LGBT person thinks this is, it's not hateful, right? Like, it's not like this is Mike Pence's whack-a-mole showdown,
right?
You just push down the urges with a hammer. Like this isn't that. It's that some people felt that. And what was really interesting is a common element of the writing was there were people who identified with it really strongly and were just sad that it had a sad ending, right? Like there's a famous piece about this that's called like, which button do I push to be happy, or something to that effect. It's on Paste or Medium. I can't remember. And I remember thinking like, and this is again just my perspective, which is obviously limited, but like understanding that as an emotional reaction to it, but not as a criticism of the story. Right. Like you can't have teen tragedy without tragedy. And this is and has always been like, even from this first episode, I knew things were going to end badly.
Right.
Like this is a tragedy. Like this is a sad story. And I was just like, what would be the happy ending for this? Like the argument that like, yes, having queer characters and having a happy ending is very rare. And like, I get that, but this was, this just isn't that story. Do I want more games that do that? There aren't very many games that have happy endings kind of period.
Right.
Where it just like go off into the kind of sunset, like especially this kind of thing. Like
especially a happy ending that was not achieved through significant sacrifice, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like there's drama, right? Like there's stakes and drama and hardship that characters go through, and to me it just felt like it's like, oh, if you want these characters, if you want that kind of representation, I think the story does work better, especially with the kind of themes of like outsiderness and such, with these characters being not necessarily straight. I want those kind of stories to be able to be told with everybody, where like sometimes, like somebody giving up the person they love in exchange for what they ultimately want is a storytelling trope that has been applied to stories forever.
Right.
Like, tons of stories where like a character gets to the end and they have to choose to sacrifice their love or not. Spoilers, like basically what we're running towards. And it was just like, oh, this is just kind of like what happens when a protagonist can be queer. Like sometimes they're put in these story tropes, like of the type of story that they're in. So again, that's a limited perspective. It's like one of those things where I understood the emotional read, but for me, it didn't match my experience or what I thought of the story.
Right. And maybe because I have my perspective, or I'm generally oblivious to some of the stuff, or I'm a prude. The entire story is so incredibly chaste that the queer angle on it didn't actually like stand out above the friendship angle. And I understand.
Well, it's a role playing decision.
Yeah.
Like it is the you can choose like to the degree to which your character is bi in this, and it's one of those things where like I only in the last few years have I understood how much like if somebody is just starving for representation, it would be a crime to try to remove that from them.
Mhm.
Right? Like for me to be like, well, actually, like the characters, my version was straight and wanted to hang out with the nerd,
Mhm.
like that may be true, but it's somebody just really wants that representation that's super valuable.
Mhm.
But the story in general is not super canonical about it. It doesn't go hard on that aspect.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. Other people played it and they're just, it's super clear. That's exactly what was happening.
And on my second go through, I was like, oh yeah, that's 100%.
It definitely seems there's subtext there.
Yeah.
But it's not for them to be invoking the trope of bury your gaze, and it's just supposed to be like, what is this tragic queer romance thing? I feel like it would be more pronounced.
Yeah.
But chaste is a really good way to put it. Like for a game about like teens, and stuff like that, this is very strangely sexless.
Yeah. To its benefit, I think.
Oh, totally. I did not want to spend any time with these characters being horned up. Really,
again, real balls.
yeah, exactly. Like I didn't want that. I'm really glad there's no like sex scene. You don't get the Life is Strange like sex trading cards for conquesting the high school. That Leisure Suit Larry and Life is Strange.
So some fans made a dating sim out of this. They took out basically everything except the dating aspect.
Did they?
Yeah. It's a fan project called Love is Strange. Yeah.
Not surprised.
Yeah.
People definitely picked up on it in ways that I didn't. So we're mostly going to concentrate on that kind of surface read of the plot.
Yeah.
Part of that just because what we're qualified to, but also for me, like what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I recognize it's a privilege. Like I can find romance media that's catered to me. I don't have to make it.
Right.
I don't have to make a mod to get that. And I recognize that as a privilege. At the same time, I can't argue with what like I'm interested in, or I can't say like, pretend that I have like something else would appeal to me. I just recognize that it appeals to other people.
And I can't pretend that I feel it strongly, because it is not something that necessarily, calls anything about me into question. Yeah.
It'd be weird for us to focus on, if we sat down and said like, okay, this is a romance game and we're gonna talk about this romance. Like,
no, it's not.
It just wasn't. It would be false. Like we're just not the people to do it. And I'm sure those people are out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure this game has been covered a lot, especially on specifically kind of like queer focused podcasting kind of criticism. I almost guarantee it. Like I read 4 or 5 articles from that perspective easily. Without a big actual shout out to Weep Lord, who's in our Slack, who I was like, hey, is there one kind of source for this controversy, because I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And they send me lots of reading, and I found more as well. Like it's easy to find that take if you want it. It's just not what we're gonna do.
Right. So it's kind of up to your decisions and to your own read on this story to decide how prominent that ought to be. However, that is a prominent part of the discussion about this game in certain corners. We want to acknowledge and pay respect to that, while also kind of disclaiming our own kind of perspective and how it's going to inform our read on it. So just want to get that out there.
Yeah, setting out and saying what we're going to do seems right.
Yeah.
There's some kind of side games to this, and sequels and prequels and interquels and stuff. There is a prequel miniseries called Before the Storm that's done by a different developer that shows us Chloe and Rachel's kind of the inciting incident character in this. I've read mixed things about that.
Yeah.
I have not played it. I've not played any of these.
Yeah, I intended to, but then life got in the way. So.
And then there is a sequel. Life is Strange 2 follows a different story with a different set of protagonists, and has this free interquel called Captain Spirit that's out there that deals with kind of, my understanding is like little kid imagination, not necessarily time powers.
Right.
I'm curious about Life is Strange 2 to see if there is a supernatural angle to it as well. But I have not played it.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's like a fugitive story is how it starts out. Yeah.
It was the one-armed man. It was me.
I don't care.
I don't care. It was the one-armed man. Yeah. So that's how old we are. That's why the slang didn't make any sense. Just in case we were wondering why we thought it was dumb that everyone was saying hella.
Yeah. In fairness, the slang made sense. I just didn't have to like it.
Yeah. Didn't make sense in terms of digging it.
Yeah. And of course, hella is just a profaned version of roast beef's hell of from the Equid comic.
Hecka.
Hell of. Hecka. Hecka is also good.
Yeah. Or a profane version of the word very. The and of course we talked about Don't Nod doing Vampire, which is like such a just in the pocket, watch out for fireballs, like flawed gem game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like so interesting and so, not perfect, but like super cool and stuff. And like that is something we will 100% cover.
Yeah.
Not likely this year, but probably next year.
This is not me saying don't write us, but also we know we're both we know that Vampire is extremely our shit.
Yeah, and I loved it. I played it last summer, and I think that game is super good.
To all of you American girls, it's sad to imagine a world without you. American girls, I'd like to be part of the world around you.
So let's get into it.
Let's do it. There's only a little bit set up for this. Maxine, she has been accepted and is going to this kind of very prominent, very prestigious art school called Blackwell Academy. It's like a boarding school that is really insular, and she is not having a good time because she has left her family and kind of returned back to her hometown where this school is at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she's a photographer.
Yes.
Yeah. We start with chapter 1 or episode 1, as it is. Like you can just get this as a standalone product.
Right.
It's called Chrysalis, which I think is a little on the nose. And it starts with this kind of vision of the storm. Max wakes up and is confused and starts walking towards a lighthouse. And this is definitely like a dream sequence or coma fantasy or something. Mm-hmm. You get up to the top just in time for this gigantic tornado to knock it down, and you wake up in photography class.
Yeah, it is a tornado that is taller than a mountain out in the middle of the bay, outside of this Arcadia Bay. So,
which is based on what's its head, Astoria.
Oh yeah, Goonistown. Yeah,
Goonistown. Yep. So I've been to the town this is based on, and it looks like it.
Yep, Oregon coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Max wakes up from this vision or dream or whatever it is in her photography class, which is being taught by this incredibly well-known artist, Mark Jefferson, giving a lecture that is pretty revealing about the rest of the game. I wish they didn't call back to this and underline it so much.
It would have been a real Easter egg if not, because it is one of those things like a Cornetto trilogy kind of thing where like characters say what happens, what's going to happen. And it does a really good job of being boring. So you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. And Mark's full of hot air. Like he's, kind of doing a bit of a Dead Poet Society kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Just kind of that nonsense. He's also supposed to be extremely hot.
Yeah.
And during this, very accurately, like you're barely paying attention. You can like look at the things on your desk and kind of check them out. This is a weird thing. The way this makes you look at things drives me nuts.
Yeah.
You hover over something and then you drag the center of that thing. You drag your mouse over to the option you want.
Oh,
this is pointlessly fiddly and dumb to me.
Huh. Okay. So I played this with a controller. And when you hover over something, it just gives you like the prompts. So like press X to look at this, press A to
that would be so much better.
Yeah.
Like the way it works with a mouse is you put the mouse over a thing, the options that you have for it, hover around it. Mm-hmm. And then you drag like something invisible, like you drag the little dot or whatever, the thing that was you're looking at thing onto the adjective you want or the verb you want.
Ugh. Yeah. That sounds floaty and miserable.
It's floaty and miserable and just pointlessly cutesy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for this not to be just a little wheel that pops up.
Pointlessly cutesy. Life is strange.txt. Am I right?
Yeah. Pointlessly, hella pointlessly cutesy. This drove me nuts. And I had to have the little, like, you're an idiot tutorial message pop up to teach me how to do it because it does not do a good job of explaining it.
Right.
So yeah, it's very frustrating, but you're just looking at things on your desk, barely listening to the lecture until eventually you can take a selfie during this, which like you had to have known this would cause a bunch of attention. You use a Polaroid.
Yeah. It's not a subtle camera.
Yeah, it's not a subtle camera. You don't have like a spy cam.
Right.
Which of course, Mr. Jefferson asked you a question about selfies.
Right.
There. And this dialogue stuff is really has taken what is known as a selfie, a very dumb name for a very old vote. Like this is very rough.
Yeah.
The selfie focus on this is rough.
Yeah. And when I feel bad that we didn't talk about this when we did the dispatch about what age is a game. This game is going to be so fixed in amber.
Yeah, this is definitely of its time.
Yeah.
And there is, like, just so no one points it out, like, I am aware of the the inherent sexism and anti-teen girlness that can come with just being annoyed by selfies.
Yeah.
This isn't me being like, if somebody posts a selfie, like, great, I get it.
Yeah. I've posted selfies.
The discussion of it is very weird. Like, quote unquote selfie, it's very artificial feeling.
And the fact that selfies are kind of Max's thing, it's very strange again in 2019 when selfies are just, it's like selfies of the water. Like our cameras, our phones have cameras that are designed for them. Right.
Yeah.
So for the idea that it would be worth discussion, it feels like if you were going to fight that battle, if like selfies were going to annoy you, oh son, it's been lost. It was lost a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But he asked you a question about daguerreotypes, which is why we have selfies. Essentially, we have portraiture, or an early thing in that. And you don't get the question right because you don't know. But this girl named Victoria is introduced, and she is a snobby, know-it-all, and like an absolute bully.
Yeah, she is the queen bee.
Yep. And the other kind of important classmate you're going to check out in this time is Kate.
Yes.
Who's very depressed and stuff. And Kate is depressed, and we'll learn more about why Kate is depressed as the game goes on.
You can tell Kate is depressed by looking at her.
Yes.
Yeah. And I say that was with a smile on my voice because that's how I say most things. It deals with some very serious stuff as regards Kate. So
there's also the subplot. You get up to leave. You go to the bathroom as the bell rings and stuff. And there's a subplot of the teacher kind of flagging you down and saying, "Hey, you need to submit your portrait for the Everyday Hero contest."
And they talk about Everyday Hero a lot.
Yeah, that phrase gets thrown around.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Wow, Max, you were a real everyday hero.
Yeah, you're a hella an everyday hero. So you're walking to the bathroom over the opening credits. Like you put on your headphones, it plays this song called like American Girl, but not the Tom Petty version, I think is the name of it. And then you can kind of check out all your classmates and learn your little pithy like one line. Like this person's so cool, but they actually, they seem nervous all the time. In private, this person takes great photographs, etc. And you're introduced to your supporting cast over this credit sequence.
As you go to the bathroom to have the quietest, most mellow meltdown possible.
Yeah.
Is how she describes it as a meltdown, but it's anything but. She gets there, she has this kind of crisis of confidence, and she tears up the photo that she was going to submit. And while this is happening, a blue butterfly flies in, and Max goes back into the bathroom around a corner to take a picture of it, right? Like, just always take the shot. And she hears two people come in. One of them is the school punk, Nathan, and the other is this blue-haired girl that Max can't quite see. And it's an altercation. Like, she is pumping him for money that he owes her.
Yep. And eventually he pulls out a gun. And in the struggle, he ends up shooting her. This is obviously very traumatic about school shootings. Max jumps out to stop him, and then ends up accidentally, this activates her powers, X-Men style, like, the onset of stress activates superpowers, and this rewinds where she woke up from the dream, and you're back in class.
Right.
Yeah.
It's worth saying right now, the nature of her powers, where they come from, is never actually revealed.
Yes.
Do not wait for that to be explained.
Yes. Yeah. That is that's maybe they start talking about that kind of stuff in the second one.
No idea.
Extended universe stuff. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? And it kind of brings about like a replay of this scene, and you are testing the waters, rewinding time in order to get the right answers to these questions and kind of stop little bad things from going wrong. But ultimately, you are doing what you can to get out of the classroom and get to the bathroom so you can save that girl, so you can stop the shooting from happening.
Yep. So you kind of mess around, you learn the mechanics of it. You get this little spiral in the corner that shows how much time you can rewind. And then there are little nodules on the spiral that represent choices. So that you've made, or like kind of decision points. Yep. So you head back and you start doing this. You have to do, again, it's not a puzzle. You just have to move a thing.
Right.
But it's kind of what passes for like a task in this, in order to activate the fire alarm to save the girl.
Right. So the school's evacuating, and you meet somebody who is really set up to be an antagonist of this. Or is an antagonist, but is not the primary villain.
There's stuff with this guy that I find a little bit unsatisfying.
It's pretty it's pretty iffy.
Yeah, this guy, I find this character pretty iffy. You run out and you see Madsen, the security officer, the grizzled old mustache veteran who yells. This weird red state guy.
Yeah. You see cop.jpg.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Right. And he hassles you because you were in the bathroom. He says, "Oh, I need to use it." Well, you girls always use that as an excuse.
What does that mean? Like, you girls are always pissing.
Yeah.
Stop your pissing. I don't even know what's going on down there, but I don't think it's piss. You know? Like, what is this? Yeah. The principal at this point saves you and says, like, hey, what's wrong? And here's your first big choice, is whether to rat out this guy, Nathan. And you learn a little bit about when you're considering this. Like, Nathan's family more or less runs the town. He's a rich kid. He's really unstable. He's in therapy. He does lots of drugs.
Yeah.
And you know, at this point, you know, the principal, like, I guess it was like this early that I was like, oh, I'm role playing, because knowing this would be a genre thing, I wouldn't, because my first thought was conspiracy, which doesn't quite pay off as much as I thought it would.
Right.
But that's what I thought. Like, oh, they run the school. It's called Blackwell. Like, okay,
right,
I've seen what this is. But I was like, I would tell the principal about someone bringing a gun to school. You know, so I did.
Yeah.
This is kind of your, and then you get that, you can reconsider it. Like, oh, I don't, you know, maybe there'll be consequences for this.
Yeah. The way this articulates, if you tell them about the gun, basically nothing happens, because there is a conspiracy, because the Prescotts own the entire town and basically fund the school. They paper over every one of Nathan's indiscretions. So nothing really happens because it's your word against his.
Either way.
Right.
Yeah, and if you don't do it, nothing happens either.
Right. Just everybody starts to get suspicious of you, is how, like, you know, just it comes out, like, you get a text message from your mom saying, like, hey, the principal told me you were, you know, getting into trouble, etc. down the line. Yeah.
Versus getting a text message from your mom that says the principal told me you were involved in some trouble,
right.
You know, that you did this thing. So pretty inconsequential. You head outside, you get a text from your friend Warren. I actually really like what this game does with your phone. You press tab to look at your phone. You can read your diary, so that serves as your recap. And it never leads you to this, but this is how you get the origin story of what happened to you before the school.
Yes.
Going to the school. You also get text from people, and at the beginning of every episode, you can see the text. Like, there are time jumps between episodes, and you can kind of check out the text that you've gotten in between. I really like that, because the game never tells you to do it.
Yeah.
I just figured it out and then was like, okay, I need to see what's been going on in my life. You know, between episodes. It's
a good kind of compromise between, like, enforced exposition and, you know, kind of flashback kind of stuff, and you know, leaving you completely in the dark. You know, let me make my own Sunday as regards to backstory.
And Warren is texting because he wants his flash drive back.
Yes, Warren is your geeky friend who has a crush on you.
So you're kind of walking around. You can interact with different students across topic, but you've been seeing these missing person posters, and
missing poster persons. Please help me find my poster.
You lost one poster, and there's just a picture of that poster, and then a picture of that poster, like
infinite hallway.
This person is Rachel Amber,
right?
Who has been missing. She was popular, everyone knows about her, and this is kind of talk of the town.
She's a real Laura Palmer kind of figure. But you make your way to your dorm, and Victoria and her friends are blocking the entryway. They will not let you pass. At which point, like, I don't know, kick them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but you won't. At this point, so you have to do some little, you know, and this is, you know, she's a monster, and this is where she does the "why don't you go fuck yourselfie," you know, so famous line. And you have to do this little adventure game bit. To get her out of here. And this is weird, like, in the context of the series, like, this is, now that I've played the whole game, this is so quaint and puzzly in compared to, like, this sets a tone that the game does not do.
It reminds you so much if you go back and play Walking Dead episode 1, and there's, like, the puzzle for putting the batteries in the right way.
It
was like, oh, you guys thought you were making a different game.
Yeah, exactly. You guys didn't figure it out yet. And the weird thing is, this came out after Walking Dead episode 1, where they feel like they could have realize this isn't going to fly,
right?
You know, as a thing. So this is tedious,
right?
You have to make the move. You have to use your rewind ability to get into the janitor's closet.
Mhm.
This janitor character is real weird to me as well.
Yeah, it's
Boy,
so
is this strange. This is a weird choice and a weird fucking delivery and weird performance.
yeah.
I love the squirrels.
So
I think about squirrels.
yeah,
Like,
he talks like the Norton furniture guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love Norton furniture
Yeah.
and squirrels.
Yeah. And then there's a little he
Oh,
talks
it's
about
like a job. You know, just like, here's my resume.
I don't
It's got my name on it.
I don't think he officially has the job. I think he just came in
He
and
works
started
there.
doing it. Yeah.
Anyone who shows up in a janitor outfit can probably pretty more or less do janitor shit.
I mean,
That's actually the moral of the story.
well, it's also the moral of Hitman.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if nobody questions you if you have a clipboard, no one questions you if you're a janitor, and everyone becomes, friends with the sweetly deranged man who talks about the birds all the time.
It talks about his spirit animal a lot. Like he is very much associated with squirrels.
He's it's I kept expecting more to happen with this dude, and it definitely does. And I talked to him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sam, but you get in there to fuck around with his thing to turn on the sprinkler, which annoys the girls but doesn't make them leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to fuck with his ladder and this paint can, or fuck with his paint can.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll drop paint.
Yeah.
On the mean girls.
Right. So you're going to iterate through this. You have these options as they go. You have to like rewind time so that he leaves the so that the paint bucket is unattended, etc. You're just kind of going to trial and error your way through this until you discern the right order of operations.
It's worth noting that rewinding time is not a resource.
Right.
It's a resource in the plot, but it's not a resource in play. So whenever you can use it as much as you want.
Yes.
And then when she has paint on her, you can take a picture of her. And this is weird too, because it's just like supposed to be this like huge scandal that she has some paint on her.
Yeah.
Just go. But you can post that picture online. She had posted a mean picture of you.
Right.
Online. And fuck a mean girl. So yeah, I do this. Like Victoria can go to hell.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it runs into one of those things where like the summary and the content are a little bit different, because the option that gives you is like take picture or comfort. And it's like, why would I comfort her? Because I chose to do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's I don't have sympathy.
Like in a weird way, comforting her would be more manipulative and dickish to do.
It'd be super weird. Yeah. But I took the photo. Yeah. And said, and I burned this path to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria ended up, hopefully not doing good in my thing, because fuck this person.
Yeah.
The inside, you're going into the dorm. You can explore your room. You can check the little, like, everyone has those little whiteboards, which is very. I didn't go to a dorm, but I had a girlfriend who was in college.
Yeah.
So it was very true to my experience.
That's a thing.
Exploring a dorm.
Yeah.
And you can kind of go to your room and explore it to get all these details about your life, and you learn about your best friend, this girl named Chloe.
Right.
You haven't talked in a very long time.
Right. Yeah. So you got to go down to Dana. She is a former. Go ahead.
Did you live in a dorm?
For a quarter. Yeah. I lived in.
Is this whole like you just walk into anyone's room you want a thing, like while they're, do you not lock your doors in dorms?
So if somebody, so the advice that you always get is leave your door open. If somebody is there, leave the door open, because it is supposed to be a big community. The idea is that privacy is an illusion, and it stops you from making these connections or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it is pretty it is pretty accurate.
Some weird horse shit.
I know, right?
Yeah. I don't need people just literally walking into my room while I'm gone.
Yeah. No. So when you're gone, no. If the room is empty, then you don't leave it open.
Oh, everyone does in this.
Yeah. So
like,
that's different.
Like when things are locked, someone's in there, and you get to snoop around a lot of people's room, and your room is unlocked and stuff like that. So I just thought that was very strange.
No. If somebody's in there, it's open. I lived in the RA suite with Ben. Ben was the RA on our floor, so people were always coming in and out. And
he's got big RA energy.
He does.
Yeah.
Well, because he's an incredible listener, and he's very supportive. Ben has big RA energy for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So the dorms are weird. I did not like living in a dorm, and I got out as soon as I could.
Yeah. It sounds like a nightmare to me.
Like the people didn't like the lack of space.
Yeah. I do not care for that.
Yeah.
You explore your room, you learn about Chloe again. You find out you're looking for your flash drive, but it turns out your friend Dana took it.
Yep.
But Dana and Victoria are roommates or something.
No, they're part of the Mean Girls together.
Victoria has the key. I don't know, somehow Victoria is able to lock Dana in her room from the outside.
Yeah, it didn't make
All
sense
the
to
stuff
me.
about how dorm locks worked was very confusing to me. I needed a primer, or spend a couple week in like lock camp.
Yeah.
For this.
I don't think that dorms also double as cells
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah, well, that's what Blackwell. I was thinking like,
Okay,
that
yeah.
people, those people run this town. Like, what kind of conspiracy theory are we getting into here?
Yeah. But there's trouble here in the clique. Dana thinks, Victoria thinks that Dana sexted with her boyfriend. Dana says, "Hey, the truth is going to be in Victoria's room." So you go and look. Which are therefore is an email that shows that it's just somebody's fucking with somebody else. Not literally, but just it's a prank. There's drama. There's you just have to accept that. Victoria's room's really different than Max's. Everything is really expensive. She has an HD TV. This also has the "I'm gonna watch Spirits Within" on this.
Yeah.
Line.
Yep,
Cool.
Yep. Yeah. Trust us. No. You eventually go, and man, the ease in which you can go on people's computers is also weird. Yes. Like, nobody has ever closed a laptop in this world. You go on the computer and you print out her bragging about the prank on email.
Yeah. It's not Victoria that's keeping her locked in. It's Taylor, I think, who's keeping her locked in. I got it mixed up.
But Victoria is the room we go into.
Yes, we go to Victoria's room because she's the one who. I feel like we are any time a high school, like any of my
we're just talking about high school girl drama.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Well, then Victoria said this, but Taylor said this.
Yeah, no, so Taylor totally copied my bangs.
Yeah.
Is that misogynist? I hope it's not misogynist.
We're not trying to be. We're pointing out how silly it is that we're doing it.
Yes.
Like that we're having this conversation, because it does seem silly.
Yeah.
And even if it's not about it being ladies, it being teen ladies is weird.
Yeah. I think I'm putting emphasis on the teens here.
Yeah, teen angle.
Yeah,
teen angles. Not those kind of teen angles. No. So you have the proof. You're able to get the flash drive.
Mm-hmm.
On your way out, there's this girl named Alyssa, and you see her get hit by a football, and you can rewind to warn her. This is a fun running joke.
Mm-hmm.
In this thing of this girl constantly having bad luck. I also like that this girl is chubby and not conventionally attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Because games don't do that.
Yeah. Like the temptation is to say that this game is really diverse. A lot of white folks running around.
Yeah. There's a black dude.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Right.
There is a black dude, but it's not very diverse. But at the very least, there is at least one different body type.
Yeah. Yep. But you can be her everyday hero by warding her, or using her rewind to say, "Hey, get out of the way." She just doesn't question it either.
She does eventually.
Yeah.
She's like, "You keep saving me. You are my angel," and stuff like that. Like, she eventually does, but eventually she doesn't initially.
Right.
Yep. On your way out, you see Madsen, the security guard, hassling Kate, who's the depressed girl we saw before, demanding to know what side she's on. And this is a thing that is a little bit frustrating. There's an artificiality to this game that comes up many times, which is why not do both?
Yeah.
And you have a choice to photograph this or intervene. The way that the choice was presented, I thought photographing it was just like artfulness, not for like evidence or whatever. And myself and the grand majority of players like intervened, but snapping a Polaroid and then coming up and saying, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Not mutually exclusive.
And you have time rewind powers, and you keep objects once you've rewound. So there's no reason not to do both, but you have to choose. I also intervened because I hate a bully.
Yeah. And I especially hate a fascist bully. Which is what Madsen is.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Even though there's a real weird hero turn. So we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But if you take the photo, you'll have evidence for later. Makes it easier to make a convincing case, but it's arguably more important to show your support for your friend in the moment. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. You head out to the parking lot to give Warren the flash drive, and he's talking about the movies that are on the flash drive. He's like this Warren. I actually like people on the Slack. Like, hated this dude. I actually think Warren's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like, I like Warren.
He's a dork. You have to be.
He's a super dork.
Yeah.
But he's very like confident and genuine about being a dork, which is like my favorite kind of dork.
Right.
There's absolutely no shame. There's this guy named Jeremy Dezek, who me and Brayton were friends with and used to play D&D with, who at Taco Bell, instead of getting a taco, he got a taco supreme, and he said, like, called it to the clerk, like, said, "Is that the prestige class of a taco?" And I was like, I've always admired that. Like, it's just like, man, you just lit it. Like, we just came from playing D&D, and you're gonna bring that that energy into the Taco Bell like nothing, man. Like,
yeah, good way to go, man.
Yeah, it was very sweet. Like I was very like I always that always endeared him to me.
Yeah.
And that's what this what Warren reminds me of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Warren. Because he's very nice, very upfront, and very helpful.
Yeah, some people hate Warren.
Right.
We're just aware of you,
yeah.
Warren haters, and the people who hate him is because they don't like that. I guess he gets a little nice guy if you reject him, and then also they don't like him because he's the non-canonical romance. To
okay,
them.
Yeah,
I get that. I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
So while this is happening, you're like, yeah, I've had this really terrible day. Nathan Prescott comes up, the guy who had the gun.
Yeah.
Starts a fight, and Warren, again being a solid dude, and being in love with you, intervenes and starts fighting Nathan and getting the shit beat out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And this gets interrupted by a truck.
Yes, like in the scuffle, it buys you time. A truck pulls up, and Max, I don't know why, just gets in.
It is just kind of like my ride is here.
Yeah.
I think you look up and see that who it is first.
Yeah.
So there's some kind of recognition, but it's the girl from the bathroom who is also Chloe.
Yeah, the girl from the picture.
Your best friend from when you were younger.
Yeah. And you've been away for 5 years, and you didn't necessarily get in touch when you moved back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And things had not gone well for Chloe.
Yeah. Yep. There is some kind of saber rattling about this.
Right.
Chloe's hurt, and you feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels very, very real to me, like losing friends and stuff. In the scuffle with Nathan, your camera got broken, but Chloe's like, hey, my stepdad has some tools that'll help us fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should talk about Chloe because we're going to get into her character a little bit. She's a punk girl. Right. She's got blue hair, kind of dresses like a dirtbag. She's the one who is the patient zero for Hella in this community, I think. People always say hello. People always say hello when she's when they're around her. And she is rebellious, right?
Yes. Yeah. She's a bad girl. She's like a bad punk girl, like lots of very typical kind of teen kind of thing. I knew a lot of people like this. Yeah. This is one of the most. I knew more people like this than I knew people like Max. Like this is very well realized character to my high school experience.
Mm-hmm.
And also like something that not necessarily like laugh out loud funny, but is funny in a way that's believable.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about before, like how one of the reasons why when I first saw it, and now I don't think it's probably aged that well, but the 40-Year-Old Virgin, one of the things I liked about that movie is like, oh, these characters are funny to each other. They're not making jokes for me. It's like it felt like friendships making, multiple friends making jokes to each other. Chloe is like an epicenter of that as well.
Yes.
Like she is making jokes to her friends. Like she's kind of like doing some kind of routine with people a little bit in a way that felt very believable and not for my benefit.
Yeah, I think that's generally a hallmark of good dialogue. This is a weird comparison to make, but one of the reasons why Bob's Burgers is really good is because the characters listen to each other. Yeah,
they listen to each other and talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then I did my, on a plane watching Modern Simpsons, which I do whenever I'm on a plane. I check in on see what's going on with The Simpsons. And The Simpsons is none of that.
Yeah.
And just in comparison, like I watched a Bob's Burgers and I watched The Simpsons, and The Simpsons just make jokes for the benefit of the audience.
Right.
It's very different. It's like The Office versus 30 Rock.
Yeah. Yep.
In a way, like the 30 Rock makes a lot of jokes just for the audience as opposed to, when Tracy Morgan says something, it's not to anybody in the room.
Right.
It's just
Tracy Morgan is trapped in a hell.
Is Captain Awesome?
Captain Awesome. No,
Captain Spirit?
He's trapped in a hell where nobody around him can hear him.
Yeah,
nobody
exactly.
can do anything to help can hear him.
Yep, except for .com.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that writing and the fact that Chloe is is written like that does an awful lot to sell both the relationship between Chloe and Max, but also kind of the people that she abuts against, right?
Well, yeah, and because we also learn everything about Chloe's background and very little about Max's. Like we get little glimpses of like what is Max's relationship like with her parents. Like you get some texts,
right.
But there's not a whole lot there. Like your dad gives you a bunch of money, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing where the dad throws money at me instead of like loving me. But no, like we don't have a lot of money. Like the character is economically in a rough spot, like apparently, and these really serious things are happening. Like in the town, at some point there's two sons, or two moons. And I assume that like your parents would check in and be like, what's going on in that town? Like,
right.
it's pretty crazy. And none of that happens.
Yeah.
But we get all of that with Chloe. So you end up like with just a much better written and developed kind of character just from all of that context.
Yeah. And, to the point where I think you could safely say that Chloe's the main character of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the city, Cole. I would say Arcadia Bay is the main character.
Yes. Okay. Taking his red.
Whenever there's an opportunity, it's always that.
Yeah. Really, The Wire is about Baltimore.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, just like, Chloe has the definition, everything revolves around Chloe's relationships and family. Max, is kind of a cipher.
A camera.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Capturing moments in time. Yeah. And I wish that more media wouldn't make that choice. It's almost functionally identical to having a silent protagonist a little bit, which is our protagonist has to be wallpaper paste because that is necessary to set off this other character, this other story that we're trying to tell. Porque no los dos.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you go up to her room and you get to see like exactly what she's like from looking around her room. She smokes some pot while you had to put some music on.
Right.
And you find out that she's the one who's printed out all these flyers for Rachel Amber.
Right.
Rachel Amber was her best friend, kind of took your place when you left, and they were going to leave for LA. And then disappeared.
Yep. Rachel, she, met somebody who changed her life, is what she said, and she hasn't been seen for 6 months. And Chloe very much was in love with Rachel. Word of God from the creators is that it was unrequited, but still the relationship was still strong.
It's clearly unrequited.
Yes.
Like, at least in the context of this game, I haven't played Before the Storm, but like it's canonically unrequited, which is part of what's really sad about this.
Yes.
And makes Chloe kind of a good character. Is just like, this isn't Romeo, this wasn't a Romeo and Juliet situation, like where they loved each other and circumstances brought them apart. It's just, she's just not that into you.
Right. But Chloe still calls Rachel her angel, and the idea was we're going to get out of this town and we're going to take on the world. She's going to be a model. We're going to go to LA and everything's going to be different.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Naive, but still understandable.
Right.
You go to the garage to get tools to fix the camera, and you learn that Chloe's stepdad is actually Madsen. And he has all these security cameras in the house, and real creepy. Again, this thing, it's real weird. The actual capital T level threat this swerves towards is not the one that they laid ground for.
Right.
Like, I was like, it's a conspiracy. It's like a cult, like a rich person's cult.
Yeah.
That Nathan's dad deals with, or, oh shit, there's this guy. And this is supposed to be normal.
Right.
Like, this character gets redeemed as a normal guy who's a little bit paranoid and also, veteran. He gets to do crazy shit. And it's really strange. Like, this is really hinting towards some, Lost Highway shit.
It is. Yeah. Very much so. And like his plan, you could sign a petition earlier, like to stop him from doing this, but his plan is to put cameras all around Blackwell.
Yeah.
He's just a complete surveillance nut. He believes in a police state.
Yep.
And we're gonna see exactly to what lengths he goes, and frustratingly, all of it is justified in the story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's a very weird choice.
Yeah.
You do a time puzzle to get your screwdrivers to fix the camera, or you try to fix the camera, but you can't. You head back up. Chloe sees that picture of the butterfly, and is like, "Hey, that looks like the bathroom. I know that butterfly."
Yeah.
Do you? But you admit to being in the bathroom and saving her life.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, well, shit. Well, in gratitude, my dad gave me a camera. If you give me that photo, I'll give you this camera."
Right. So we start having a teen girl dance party.
Yeah.
She's,
as happens.
Right. She's smoking up, and then that's when Madsen comes home, and reads her the riot act. You have to hide in the closet while this is happening. You have an option to either stay hidden, in which case she snaps at him and then he slaps her.
Yeah.
Or you can step out and kind of take the blame for the weed and kind of show that you have failed as the positive influence in her life.
Yeah. I stayed hidden, not because I didn't know that she was gonna get slapped.
Right.
But I just assumed she'd get in more trouble. Like she said, like, "Hey, she says it, like,
Yeah,
I'll get in
yeah.
more trouble if she knows you're here.
Right.
So trusted her.
Yeah.
The episode ends with you guys heading out to the lighthouse, and it's like, oh shit, this is the lighthouse from my dream.
Mhm.
You mentioned the surveillance state, and she says, oh yeah, that sucks. And here's why I was in the bathroom with Nathan.
Mhm.
Like he drugged her,
Right.
and it was going to do something terrible to her, but she woke up.
Right. She woke up and hit him and got out, and now she is kind of blackmailing it, saying like, hey, I'll tell everybody about what you did, unless you pay me money. And that's kind of what led to the exchange. She has stolen one of her stepdad's guns to protect herself because of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This is a thing that this game does have a problem with, trying to both sides, all of the villains.
Yeah.
In the name of redirecting, because there's a real villain, like a twist villain.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a part in which I was like, oh, this is definitely trying to make me feel sympathy for Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
No,
sorry.
No, that's no, that guy's a villain. Also, Madsen's a villain. Like, these people do things that are not forgivable.
Yeah.
And then weirdly in the last episode, I'm supposed to think that they're okay because there's this bigger threat.
Yeah, to think
it's
that
like,
the ends justify the means. No, I don't.
You don't drug. You don't drug ladies.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Just kind of period. No matter what, it is an unforgivable crime.
I don't care how much you've been enabled or manipulated.
Or abused by your dad or something like that. It's like, I've seen how you react to people saying you should get help.
Right.
You fucked up, Nathan.
Yeah.
Go to hell. I'm glad what happens to you. So you, Chloe's super mad at the town.
Right.
Again, teen energy. She wishes she could like nuke it.
Mm-hmm.
And destroy this town. And this kind of sets off Max going back to her vision of the tornado destroying the town. A newspaper sees that this happens, and the newspaper's from the future. It happens in 4 days.
Yes. So we have a timeline now. This is going to take place over one very uneventful week. And after this, it starts snowing. One of these kind of many ecological manifestations of what's going to go on. And the episode ends with this montage of everyone noticing the snow.
Yeah.
And after the credits, we get a shot of this shelf of albums, these binders, one of which has a Rachel written on the spine.
Yep. Someone's putting it away. We can move into chapter 2 real quick. There's no way to skip the last time on.
Oh, there absolutely is. Yeah.
On the keyboard I couldn't. I was pressing all the buttons and could not escape it.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer, because I was like, man, you had to guess like somebody would play these all in order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't skip it.
Yeah. On controller, it's the right bumper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's just something very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
I had to take my mouse in the middle and drag it to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So just like everything else.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to chapter 2 here. All the chapters are shorter than chapter 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except for the last chapter, I would say. Last chapter is pretty long.
Yeah, that's true.
So chapter 2, Out of Time. This is mostly about Kate.
Mm-hmm.
That sad girl. Each chapter kind of revolves around a person.
Right. So it begins with Max waking up. She's stayed up all night trying to study and understand time travel.
Mm-hmm.
She's got all kinds of like relativity books and such. She gets a text from Chloe saying like, hey, come to the Two Whales Diner with me and we're going to get some breakfast.
Yep. You go to shower and Kate is there crying in the bathroom. You comfort her, but Victoria comes in, you hide in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And Victoria is or you go to the shower basically, comes in and harasses Kate about this video.
Yeah.
There's this video of her partying where she set a quote unquote tongue record, making out with a bunch of dudes. And we didn't really talk about this, but we knew it from before. Kate is the quiet religious girl who goes nuts.
Yeah.
Like Rod Flanders. Yeah, she's the Rod Flanders of the group. So she's very religious. So it's a big deal that she was partying.
Yeah. Just to be clear, that was a Simpsons reference. That was not us actually laughing over people who are depressed or bullied being nuts. That is not the characterization.
That's me slamming Todd Flanders or Rod Flanders. I do not remember which
they're
one.
Interchangeable.
They're very interchangeable.
Yeah.
One's slightly taller.
But yeah, there's this video that is out, and everybody is talking about like you had a chance to like erase like a reference to this.
Well, she writes out a URL on the mirror. I think that's extremely strange. Like, imagine somebody type in a URL.
Like, she went to GoDaddy to buy that.
Like, exactly. Like, HostGator got deep pockets in this alternate world.
Yeah.
It's just very, very fun. But you can erase it.
Yeah.
And you have to return Kate's book. Like, she loaned you it's like Asimov, or
it's Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury, one of the big sci-fi greats, one of her books.
Yeah.
And you go in, and her room is extremely depressing.
Yeah, it's depression.room. Yeah. Like
she's been sad.
The mirror is covered, the blinds are closed. They're all kind of all kinds of, like, there's like notes from her parents, like her mom has basically disowned her because of this.
Yeah, it's really rough stuff.
Yeah.
And here I think, I mean, I didn't talk about this, but I think that chapter 2 of this is by far the weakest one.
No.
I think it's weakest from a gameplay perspective in multiple ways. And one of them is that your ability to successfully navigate the big end decision of this is based on how long you spend not comforting your friend and digging through her shit.
Yes.
Like, this is one of the only times that going through and looking at the room stuff is a load bearing.
Yeah.
Thing. So if you spend a lot of time digging through her notes, looking at her open computer, reading her email, you get a better result than if you would just go and find this person who's crying and, like, put your arm around them.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucked. Like,
think about this, like, from within the story. This is a person whose privacy has been utterly destroyed by these bullies, right? This moment, and we're going to talk about where this moment comes from, that is being broadcast and talked about, for everybody, this terrible humiliation. When she is sitting there absolutely desolate because of this, you invade her privacy further, neglecting her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's rough stuff. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's one of those, the times where this felt so much like a game as opposed to a role-playing experience or real. And this was definitely the crux on which I decided, like, I'm going to role-play this from now on. This feels dumb.
No.
I read the requisite things to get the good ending of this quest line, but felt dirty doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it would have been better to get that through dialogue, right?
Oh,
like,
totally.
as opposed to going through that. So, like, not just with her, right? Because if it was just, okay, I need you to, like, answer me these questions.
Tell me 3 things only you would know.
Yeah. No, but if it's like, just you talk to somebody who was aware of her home situation and said, like, yeah, her mom's giving her a real rough time about this.
Totally.
Like, like, or just even, it doesn't even have to just be through dialogue either. Like, maybe she has her favorite Bible verse on her on her message board outside.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Or she mentions it, like, after you talk to her enough, or something, like, any number of things other than just flipping through her stuff. It's very weird. And there's another sequence that is exactly as weird and dumb coming later.
Yeah.
Like, this chapter is not super great.
Yeah.
I mean, the broad strokes of what happens in the plot are good, but the actual mechanics of it really fall down here.
Same thing. I like Kate's story. I think, I'm happy that something that a game decided to take a swing at bullying and depression.
Yeah. This filled me with righteous anger.
Yes.
Like, this is a thing that motivated me to hate the perceived villains of this adequately for when the real villain came out. I was suitably surprised because I was so pissed about this. Like, basically what happened was she didn't drink. Like, she did. She had, like, a drink.
Right.
In the thing, but she didn't drink to excess. But what happened is she passed out. Nathan was there, and she woke up in a white sterile room, had a pain in her neck, and then woke up in her dorm.
Right.
And they took video of her. She doesn't remember any of this, like, making out with people and drinking.
Right.
And it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
And she's obviously devastated about it. Like, that she's not lying, even though everyone will bring up, like, even just, like, people who should know better, who should be empathetic, are like, well, there is a video. People, but it's so clear that she's being genuine.
Yeah.
And you say, like, and she says, what should I do? Should I stay quiet or go to the police?
Right.
At this point.
Yeah.
And again, I'm being a good boy. So I go to the police. Like, fuck, like, rule of law. It still exists.
Yeah. Like the one good thing that police can do is stop this from happening.
It was 2010. It was a more innocent time. I was replaying this as somebody who lived in the time with rule of law before now. That's the great thing about playing period games. Is you get to pretend that we don't live in the current hellscape we do.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's the same. Like, the options are like, hey, you need to gather more facts. Like, well, what more facts does she need besides her experience? But yeah, to say go to the police, which is the right thing to do. All of this, like, everything that you're doing with her is going to come back at the end. On your way out to the bus, though, you can stop and talk with Sam, the janitor, and Warren, and you also see Madsen talking with Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I think this also might be where you can talk to the skater dudes. The skater dudes are the male equivalent of the embarrassing slang.
yeah.
Those guys are very funny to me.
Uh-huh.
Like, whoa, check it out. Like they're very Ninja Turtles. Like there's a series of
they got deturtleified. Now they're just regular teenage ninjas.
Yeah, there's Teenage Mutant Ninjas.
Yeah.
Who just hang out and do skateboarding tricks and be like, whoa, cool. Grind the tube. These guys are embarrassing.
Yeah, I just they're always high, and they resolve all of their conflicts by
doing skate
up.
tricks.
Yeah,
Smoking and doing skate tricks. So there's a puzzle where you can go and talk to them in dialogue to seem cool to them. A little optional puzzle where you get to name a skate trick.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were a poser, but you're clearly not." I'm not a poser at all. I used to thrash. Cool. Dudical. Like, it's very weird. I don't understand what the whole plot is with these guys.
I think it's to show like the harmless side of the horrible drug problem that's happening here.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes people can smoke pot and not have it be awful.
You're right.
So yeah, man, there are actually 3 sequences in this thing I hate. So there's the room thing, and then now we're at the diner, and I don't like this either.
Yeah.
So you go to the diner, and we pick up through context that Chloe's mom works there.
Yeah.
So Chloe's mom, her dad is the stepdad is the security guard. Her mom works at the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And you catch up, like you used to be close. This is a really great, like lived-in relationship.
Right.
A friend's parent. This feels very real to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, you have to understand David. Like he was in the war, which they lean on that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, he actually wants what's best. And you can be like, no, he hit her.
Yeah.
Like she told me you don't say that you were there, but like, oh, she told me that he hit her and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she can be like, yeah, I know, we talked about it. And I was just like, oh, this is abused woman talk. He knows what he's doing. He wants the best. You don't know him like I do. Right. It's like, oh, she's abused.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't actually pay off, but that's definitely where I thought they were going.
Yeah. I like Joyce.
Yeah, me too.
And all the realities, Joyce is stand up and good.
Well, I like that she is sarcastic and kind of funny in a way that makes sense with Chloe.
Yes.
Like Chloe's like the darker, edgier version of that, but they both like, make jokes and listen to each other and talk to each other. Like she seems like a mother to that daughter.
Mm-hmm. And the kind of the note that you leave on is like, hey, I'm really happy that you're back. Chloe's going through a hard time. She's been going through a hard time ever since you left. I hope that you can be a good and stabilizing influence on her.
Yes.
Which really rang for me because I was the fucking kid who the parents were like, I want you to hang around with my son because you're going to stop him from getting into trouble because you're a fucking lame little lameoid.
Should have charged for that, man.
I know, right?
Yeah, you should have rented out Cole. Yeah. There's somewhere along the line also we learned that Chloe's dad died.
Yes.
This is going to be a big thing later, but I think that it wasn't hidden. I think we know that.
You can just like ask her, like you can even just talk about it, like saying, both Chloe, like just like, hey, I'm really sorry about your dad. Joyce, you can say like, how are you getting along? Stuff like that.
So here's where it sucks. Chloe shows up, and she's like, hey, we have to demonstrate your powers.
Right.
And this becomes this weird memory game,
right? Like
for two illustrations of where you have to get it exactly right, and like you have the ability to rewind time,
mm-hmm.
but it's tedious. Like she's like, tell me what will happen over the next 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So you get you watch some stuff happen, including this very obscure thing where like the jukebox fucks up and you have to notice a roach crawling under it.
Yes,
that causes the jukebox to glitch out.
Mm-hmm.
And then just predict them in order,
right?
Like what they are. And one of the things like happens with the cop, but it's not totally clear. Like it's one of those summary execution thing, summary, the execution of it. It's one of the summarily executed things.
Right, I was gonna say.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Though, like summary. I can't remember the word used for it, but what actually happens versus what the little like, hate newspaper.
Oh yeah,
newspaper Fallout 4 thing.
Right.
And then you have to, she's like, well, you'll tell me what I have in my pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have to have all these little details about it. Like, I think it's pretty impressive to guess cigarettes, a parking ticket, keys, and some change. But it's just like, how much change? It becomes this weird little like memory game.
Yeah.
He's got to back off trying to have these mechanics, man.
Yeah, and like I think that this is, on one hand, this is necessary because it needs to be underlined that Max is the only person who has continuity of consciousness. So effectively, when she uses her powers, it is like her knowing the future because she's doing the Doctor Strange thing of running different futures to see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like that, I think, is important. This is just an incredibly tedious way to do it by memory quiz.
And they should have just done one of them.
Yeah.
They literally do two of them in a row.
Right.
You know, yeah, it's just really silly. And you can get 75% of them right and then have to do it over again because you're like, yeah, you can kind of predict the future, but I'm not impressed. Like, it's just dumb. Like, it's gamey and shitty.
Yeah.
So then you go to leave, and Kate calls you.
Right.
You know, and you're like, do you take it or not? And like, this is again one of those weird little false choices where I'm like, it doesn't make sense that Chloe would be mad about this.
It
You know,
doesn't
like,
make.
hey,
I mean,
have to talk to this person for a second. Like,
Chloe has a lot of reasons to be mad.
this one isn't one of them.
Right.
You know, so then you go to the junkyard. Like, Chloe had this little like love nest junkyard zone with Rachel. It's surrounded by this junkyard. You go there to try out the powers and with the gun because she's still in this like superhero origin mode. So you do this like search for these bottles. Like, what is happening? Life is Strange. What happened with this episode?
Yeah, like, well, like,
you
why
guys
did you
lost
think
something?
Why did you think this was okay?
In a row too, like, and it gets better. They stop doing it, and in the final episode, there's an apology for the bottles.
Yeah,
they know this is dumb,
right?
But they still put it in. Like, it's blatant padding. Go collect all the things in an area, even in a game that is not as story focused as this, is still always kind of shitty design. Like,
yeah,
if you know, getting somebody to explore an area by putting something there is good, but that area has to have, like, knowing the space has to be a goal. And then having something cool that you find there is better than not.
Right.
You know, something cool.
And really the only significant place that the bottles are leading you toward is their little fort that they have.
Yeah.
That has, you know, the graffiti, that has, you know, just basically all the evidence of, you know, this very lived in and fleshed out relationship that they had. That's the only place. But like, when you're going around, like, and you have to find that little hallway into the party pit, into the fire pit, like why did I need to go there? Like, why did I need to see that was the case? That's not important. Like, to say,
you know,
I've got a 6-pack of empties that I was going to recycle. It's back there in the fort. Can you go get this while I fix the gun or whatever?
Totally, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, literally just send me to the place that's important rather than making me explore this area. And I was expecting, because I expect game design decisions to happen for a reason, I was like, do I need to know this space for like a chase sequence later?
Yeah.
And then later you come back here and I was like, oh, that's where that's going to pay off. And then it doesn't. And I didn't want that chase sequence, but it just would have made this make sense.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So you don't do that. You line up the bottles, and this, you know, also pretty tedious.
It's a little bit better. Like, this might have been the one of these that I would keep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. You rewind them through taking the shots. What's dumb about it is Chloe is demanding to a real silly degree. Like, where she's like, you know, you shoot something and it like shoots a bottle, and she's like, that wasn't very cool. Like, I want to see, you know, you really show your stuff. Right. And I kept expecting a Ricochet to kill somebody because
it does. On one of them, you can have her shoot a tire rim and it'll come back and shoot. It'll shoot her in the gut. Just rewind. It's real startling, you know, because again, teen tragedy, and guns are not to be fucked with, and B, not a joke. But it's mostly you kind of seeing the outcome of these different shots and telling her to either aim differently or shoot a different thing. Yeah,
it's fine. It's not very good, and we've already just done a lot of very similar, like, just time testing. Like, not very much plot happens in this episode until the end.
Right.
But this is where it introduces the Jean Grey nosebleed thing. Like, as she messes with the powers of the Phoenix, like, you get a bloody nose.
Yeah. Or the Akira nosebleed, please.
Yes. Oh, okay. Fairly certain this one predates Akira. So you pass out at this point, going to the tornado again when you pass out, and then you wake up, you know, at this point, and these people are not genre aware, so they don't think that psychic powers are causing nosebleeds.
Right.
And a dude shows up.
Yeah.
Local pervert.
Yeah, a local pervert, local dirtbag named Frank Bowers. And if you know the well this is pulling from, somebody with the last name Bowers is bad news.
Sure.
Henry Bowers from It.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's that is absolutely what they're referring to. But yeah, like he is the drug dealer. He's a guy who kind of rolls around in his RV, setting up these deals with his dog, and everybody's kind of scared of him because of his neck tattoos, and Chloe owes him money.
Yeah. Yep. And she sees that he's wearing one of Rachel Amber's bracelets that she has. So she freaks out, and he pulls a knife.
Right.
At this point, and you have the choice to pull a gun or not.
Well, Max pulls the gun anyway. It is up to you whether or not you try to shoot or if you don't.
Yeah. I tried to shoot because he's got a knife. He's going to stab my buddy. But you're out of bullets. You didn't count your bullets well enough. So he gets mad and says, like, this is a joke. You were going to try to kill me. I'll remember that, wink. And then leaves. Essentially.
Yeah. I chose not to try to fire because, again, guns are not to be fucked with, and then they're not a joke. And regardless, he still takes the gun, and functionally, you drawing the gun on him is no different than you trying to fire.
Yeah, nothing happens.
The story. Yeah,
this is not a consequential choice. Afterwards, you're doing all these teens are doing a lot of dangerous stuff. You're like walking along the train track, which I also did, but not this old.
Do you want to go drink some paint? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Rachel used to drink this paint. It was her favorite shade, Pantone Blue 42, 242. The most delicious, the paint that really gets you fucked. So this is where we learn that Chloe borrowed some money from Frank. So she and Rachel could get out of town, but that plan fell through.
Right. And
she predictably a train comes and she gets her foot stuck.
Yeah.
And
got to do that fried green tomato shit.
A real dumb little adventure game puzzle to try to find. So I ended up pushing this like gigantic coil of cables down to smack the reroute thing. There are a couple different ways you can solve this.
Yeah, like you got to break into this shed and try to like reroute stuff. The solution that I got didn't make any sense because the train was coming from the wrong direction, but Chloe still lived. Yeah. This was pretty janky, actually.
Yeah, this chapter is bad. It gets better, I promise.
Yeah.
So you head back out and she's like, "Oh, you saved my life twice. We're bonded now." You ride back to school and she says like, "Hey, this is probably all connected. Like, do you know anything about chaos theory?" And all you know about chaos theory is from Jurassic Park, of course.
Right. And all you need to know is anything can happen for any reason.
Exactly. It's just and if the answer is yes, stop fucking around with time. But apparently the answer is no. Back at the school, David flags you down and he tries to explain explain what he did.
Right. Saying like if I didn't care about her, I wouldn't care at all. Like she deserves better than to run around with stolen guns.
Yeah, and I said, "Fuck you, you hit her." Like that's just not okay. Go to hell, you piece of shit. Like I read him the riot act at every turn because he's bad.
Yeah.
Warren texts you and says he wants you to come down to the science lab because he needs help with a chemistry experiment. This is just a cute little puzzle where you can help him do the right science. Again, I was expecting something to blow up and kill him because teen tragedy. Does not happen. Instead, you get the right answer from a teacher and then feed it to him. Right.
It is just you helping your friend on his assignment. It's good. Yeah. And on your way to your class, into the photography class, you see Jefferson talking with Kate, and he didn't seem like a great guy before. He comes off terribly here because she is asking him for help, saying like, "Hey, you need to like talk to these people who are spreading these videos." And he's blaming her, saying like, "Hey, maybe you just did it for attention. You have to understand how this looks."
Yeah, pretty shitty.
Yeah. This is motivated. Like, it's not, I mean, like, put a pin in that, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's even worse because he says to go into class and he takes a phone call.
Yeah.
And the phone call is very suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, he's very just like, "Oh, yes, of course." And I was like, "Oh, he works for the evil cult."
Right.
Like, it's like, "Oh, there's still a cult."
Good.
Yeah, for the greater good. So you head in, you argue with Victoria because again, you snitched on Nathan and also she hates you.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like romantically involved vaguely with Nathan. Like they're very close.
Yeah. Like her stance on Nathan is like, he's got it really hard. His dad puts a lot of pressure on him, etc. Like people don't see the side of him that I do. Is what she's saying.
Yeah.
Not viable, but
Sure. And then somebody comes in and goes, "Something's happening," and everyone leaves.
Yeah.
So
that's realistic. That happens. Yeah. There's a fight. Okay, we're gonna leave class now.
Yeah, exactly. And the teacher very realistically is like, and then but it doesn't help. Okay. You head out and you see Kate's on the roof.
Yes.
So he's going to jump, and you really flex your powers really hard to actually freeze time long enough to get up to her.
Right.
You kind of walk through. It looks a lot like in Logan when Wolverine is walking through Professor Xavier's psychic storm that freezes everyone.
Yeah.
Very similar to Logan.
That makes sense. That's a good touchstone for that.
But you get up to the roof, and your time powers won't work now because you've exhausted them temporarily. Like the actual mechanics of that are never really totally explained. And you have this little dialogue puzzle,
right,
to help her either help her talk her off the ledge or not. And again, it's very dependent on how much snooping you did.
Yes. The secret way to win this is to recite all the lyrics from Third Eye Blind's Jumper. Yeah.
Basically, it's just the chorus, though.
Yeah.
That's the operative.
Yeah, that's what
operative advice in this situation.
Yeah, I'm making light of this, but it's incredibly grim. But yeah, you've got to basically, what you have to do is use your knowledge of her to convince her that people care about her regardless of what it looks like now. To say like, hey, you have not just like, one friend who doesn't want to see something horrible happen to you right now, but like, even if your mom has abandoned you, your dad and your sisters. Yeah,
they still love you, and if you've been a friend to her.
Yes. And if you do pass up these opportunities, like if you take the photo instead of stepping in to help her, she'll throw that against you. Like when that bully was, had cornered me and was yelling at me, all you did was take a photo. You care more about your pictures than you do about my well-being. Stuff like that. So you have to all of your choices throughout this chapter with her, kind of basically set the score, like how many of these gates you're going to pass through to keep her alive.
Yeah. It is pretty good. Like this is good, and the stakes are really real, and we know what she's been through and stuff, and it's understandable that she'd be very upset. So I actually like this scene. This is obviously the high point of the episode. So I managed to talk her down, and then you're debriefing with the principal. And you're with Nathan. Nathan's there because even he has all this stuff covering for him. People know like he's related to this accusation of the video, taking the video and everything like that. Also, the photography teacher is there for some reason. Jefferson's there. Yeah, I don't totally know. And then Madsen's there.
Right.
And you get to choose kind of who to blame.
Yeah. Weirdly, you can choose to blame Jefferson for this, which is,
I think that's very strange. And they give you little stats at the end, and almost no one does this,
right?
Because they didn't lay track for it,
right? What I do is blame Nathan. That makes the most sense. He's the most directly involved.
Well, and I want him. He's got to go.
Well, yes,
that guy's got to go.
He cannot be in Gen Pop.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads to this. Like he says, okay, well, my dad's going to see this school. You guys are fucked. And your principal, who's not necessarily a great guy, just kind of sighs. And
there's a weird subplot with him being a drunk.
Yeah,
that never really pays off.
Right.
But
yeah. So yeah, there's that. Regardless of how it happens, you do end up having to give to point somebody out. And the episode ends, it's Max and Warren, and they're talking about these ominous things that are going on, talking about the people going missing, talking about the Prescotts. And as they're going, an eclipse overtakes the sun. This was not supposed to happen. That is a thing that people know about for months in advance, so that people can sell fake eclipse glasses and blind innocent people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And and this is where it ends with the music video montage.
And ends after the credits, going back to this, the binders. The camera pans over from Rachel's binder to an album that is in progress labeled Kate, and it's surrounded by these drugs, vials and syringes, and also a glass of liquor. So we're getting more of a portrait of at least the room where this is happening. When this episode came out, it ended with, depending on the region that you bought the game in, it ended with a kind of a message saying like, hey, if you or somebody knows being bullied, call this number, essentially saying like, hey, we need to raise awareness of this. So
it specifically says if you've been dealing with any issues brought on by the game, which I always thought was kind of weird, because it's like this episode is about bullying, but there's a lot of stuff going on, and it just gave one number.
If you also are unstuck in time.
If you're also stuck in time, if you also have a weird surveillance fascist, like,
right.
Lost highwaying you, like all these things. This moves on to chapter 3, Chaos Theory. And later there's some foreshadowing about this. Chloe says like, hey, we have to break in and find out what's going on.
Right.
So it's late at night. Max is studying. Chloe messages her and says like, hey, let's meet in front of campus and do this now.
Yeah.
On your way out, the principal is trying to open his door drunkenly.
Right.
And you have to sneak by him. Again, just using your teleport powers. This is just letting you know that you have the teleport powers for the next puzzle coming up.
Yeah. And this is kind of one of the last, there are not many time puzzles after this. Like that,
No,
that is being backstaged as we go.
It gets very narrative focused and stronger after these puzzles coming up. Here, there's a puzzle coming up in a second. She has the keys to Blackwell, which she stole from her stepdad. So you can get in. As you are leaving, you see Victoria and Jefferson leaving the school, talking about her portfolio, talking about the Everyday Hero contest. And she essentially just says like, oh, we all know I'll win. Like basically I'll suck your dick. Like it's pretty rough stuff. Like she's, trying to seduce the teacher. Yeah. And he doesn't go for it, to his credit, like,
yeah. And to her demerit, she threatens him with this, saying like, or if you don't, I'll just say that you did. Yeah.
Which is a dangerous trope.
Yeah.
Like that definitely happens, but having it show up in fiction is dangerous because there's a perception that it happens a lot more than it ever does.
Yeah. It makes it seem more common.
Yeah. So pretty,
Yeah. So you get into the school. It is nighttime, and you need to get into the principal's office. None of the keys on the janitor's ring work for the principal's office, which is really suspicious, right? And you have to take Warren's advice to make a pipe bomb to blow open the door. So you have to go on a little scavenger hunt for all of the ingredients. You have to learn that like one of the things that he asked for is just basically a weed killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. But
So
you get through.
yeah.
Again, it's effectively a teleport. Like you've got this little contest going with Chloe, and she's like astounded that you're on the other side of the door. It's a very cute
before she
moment.
can pick the lock.
Right.
Yeah, it's super cute that you do it. It's also the last of these little like go gather X things puzzles, which is I was very much like I don't want to fucking do this.
No.
But got through it. You start going through the files. And you get to see Nathan's file, which is squeaky clean. You get to see his real record, which is not. He accused Rachel of bringing drugs into Blackwell, and Madsen believed it, and that's why, Madsen has any Rachel interest at all.
Right. Also, he saw that she and Chloe were close as well.
Yeah. Which he doesn't like. You get to see your own file, which is interesting, which is like, bright, shows promise, but unfocused, etc.
Right.
Check out everyone's files. In the file, there's a drawing Nathan did, which keeps saying Rachel in the dark room over and over, which is some foreshadowing several episodes out, which is cool.
Yeah. But it's kind of showing like, oh yeah, this is in media art that a crazy person would make. So yeah. Before you go, Chloe gets into a drawer and finds an envelope full of $5,000 marked for the school's handicap fund. And she says, oh, this is going to solve all my problems. I don't know what you did. I said, no, you're not going to take $5,000 from people who are disabled.
I didn't read the front of it. No? I let her take it because I'm just now finding out it was for the handicap fund.
You monster.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, take it. Because I was like, that dude's going to come shoot you. Like,
oh, yeah.
Give him the money, But I didn't know it was for the handicapped. I just assumed it was because I was still under a cult.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking, and I was like, oh, the principal's in on this. Clearly. I'll take $5,000 from the cult.
Yeah.
So I did not think it was like the handicapped cult.
Right.
So I just, I thought it was just regular cult fund.
Yeah.
Regardless,
you say like, hey, while we're here, let's go swimming. Let's have some best friend time. And you get to go and like poke around in the locker rooms, find, just little details about these other people. This is a long scene. It's tough to summarize because it's a lot of like, oh man, I'm really happy that you're back. There's a lot of like really fucked up stuff going on. We're going to get through this, etc. It just summarized as best friend time.
There's also like some of the real subtext flirting stuff coming on.
Yes, yeah.
There's the whole thing about her pretending to be a shark and you being an otter. That is very like, just fuck already a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the more like I think this game is a game where you get to kind of choose how much of that subtext is there in kind of a clever way. But this is one of the biggest like exhibit A's for these, there's some romantic chemistry here.
Yeah. There's lots of planks here for people to build ships out of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. But then they actually, the security shows up, so you have to do this little stealth escape system. I don't know exactly what I was supposed to do here. Like I went and hid in a stall and then just kind of left, and it felt like way too easy somehow. I think I just kind of passed something else happening that I didn't see.
Yeah, that's what I did. So it might just be simple.
Yep. So when you go back, you don't want to go back to the dorm at this point because of you're actually just doing escape in a truck. Like it's crawling. The place is crawling with security.
Right.
There's essentially like a SWAT team for this,
right.
this break-in. So you go spend the night at Chloe's. And again, I was expecting the romantic stuff here happens. Yeah. In the morning, you get dressed up in some of Rachel's old clothes, which fit you because your clothes smell like chlorine because you're swimming in your underwear.
Right.
And Chloe dares you to kiss her. And you can do it or not.
Yeah.
If you do, she's like, "Whoa, you actually did it."
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to put Chloe on the back foot.
And that's why I did. So in the initial playthrough of this game, again, when I was kind of oblivious to what was going on, I was just reading them as, incredibly good friends. And Chloe was just trying to get Max out of her shell. And so I'm going to do it specifically because she doesn't expect that I'm going to. I didn't read anything romantic into it. Yeah. But that just kind of speaks to me being oblivious more than anything.
Yeah. Well, it also depends because some of that, it's not. They lay it on from time to time. It's not like it's like a constant patina,
right,
of sexual tension all the time. Like these are two moments, but I did that as well.
Yeah.
You go downstairs and Joyce is making breakfast for you. You kind of reminisce. And she pulls out an old photograph of the family with the dad before he died.
Yeah.
Before he died in a car crash.
And specifically a photo that the dad, William, had taken of Max and Chloe the morning before he died.
Before.
Yeah. Saying like, hey, this is an incredibly important photo to me because this is the last time that I saw the Chloe that I know. She was happy and hopeful and bright. And kind of everything she's not right now.
Yep. Chloe comes out and whispers in your ear and says, "I'm going to distract Mom while you go dig through David's stuff."
Yeah.
And the mom's like, "Don't keep secrets." And she goes, "What?" And then that starts the fight immediately.
Right.
So
very good.
It worked really well.
It was really convincing too, because this was another moment where I was like, for fuck's sake, Chloe, does everything have to be a thing? And then when I got out to the car, I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, you are really good at doing this.
Yeah. Everything does have to be a thing, but you are very skilled at manipulating your folks.
Yeah.
This is a password guessing thing where you have to go around finding potential numbers and stuff. I don't know, if anyone in real life just does that. It's a fun Deus Ex thing.
Yeah.
But you go through kind of learning about David and his past a little bit, which is I guess supposed to kind of pre-characterize him for his weird redemption.
Right.
In order to find the password to get in.
At the very least, it is not just on a Post-it note.
No, it's important
locker.
dates to him and stuff.
Yeah,
and you're being an idiot. Some of the stuff you're like, oh, maybe it's his the registration number for his his
concealed carry. Yeah,
his concealed carry. That's probably not that meaningful, but you just memorize it because it's a number.
Yeah.
The interface really falls down here too because you have to do everything in sets of 3.
Right.
So it's this weird nested dialogue tree is how you do passwords. Which is a little bit clunky.
The time stuff gets involved here, and this is kind of what it gets relegated to is you have 3 attempts.
Yeah.
But because you have the time manipulation, you effectively have unlimited attempts.
But you always have to do this little rewind chore.
Right.
Every 3 attempts. It's a little bit obnoxious.
Yeah.
Once you get into the computer, you find out that David had been spying on Rachel and saw her get drugs from Frank.
Yep.
He tracks Kate's movements and he has your class schedule.
Yeah.
So you're obviously righteously angry. You come out and you come in and he starts saying hey, what about this vandalism? My job is so tough.
Yeah.
And Chloe starts yelling at him and I'm just with her and we're both just dressing down this dude.
Right. It gives you the option, hey, do you side with David or do you side with Chloe? I even playing through this again, knowing that this choice would come up, I was looking for reasons to stand with David. Well, what reasonable motivation would you have? No, there's none. And the
Yeah.
consequence for it, it's pretty meaningful because, if you say like, hey, you've got the house bugged, you're watching you're watching all these kids, Joyce already is kind of displeased that David has taken the authority of his job and is using it to harass people. If you side against him, it is 3 against 1. Joyce asks him to leave.
Yeah.
So like, hey, go pack your things. We need to get this figured out because this is unacceptable, the way you're abusing your power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you more or less fuck up this dude's life, which is great because he's a shithead. This guy sucks ass.
He does.
Yeah. So now you have, hey, like Frank was involved in Rachel. We're still trying to ostensibly, we have a lot of different kind of pots on the stove, but we're trying to solve the mystery of Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to focus on that for a little while. So we get into Frank's trailer.
Yeah.
You've been warned about this by a cop at the diner earlier if you talked with him. And you have to go in. This is a time puzzle that I kind of like. Is you have to go in and kind of pester him and get his keys somehow, essentially getting him to get them out.
Right.
And you have to do this by like performing like a psyop on him. Like you can walk up on him and just dump his food on the ground or pour a soda on him.
I love doing that.
Yeah. Well, he's also just eating beans.
Yeah. Well, he's huddled over those beans.
Yeah, he's huddled over some beans.
He is greedily scooping them beans.
He loves beans, and you can knock the beans onto the ground. He goes, "I was eating those beans," and then gets up
those
and
were
flips
my
beans.
beans.
There are many beans like it, but this one is mine. He slips on the beans and then gets up to just stab you in the throat.
Yeah.
Which you have to rewind time. Like, oh, this guy's gonna stab me in the throat in front of a cop over some beans.
Yeah.
Very, very bean passionate, this man.
Yeah.
But you have to actually talk to the cop and Nathan to learn about this and learn some kind of clues about the town.
Yeah.
Again, about this cult, about this family, the Prescott family that owns everything.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you learn that the cop is essentially not necessarily on the take, but is like given some, I guess on the take.
Yeah. Well,
working privately for them as well.
Yeah. Like, just and the cop regrets it, saying like, hey, I made a deal with the Prescotts. Like, hey, I'm kind of like working to smooth the way for this big estate that they're building, this Pan Estates. It's going to take over the town. And he regrets. He feels like he made a deal with the devil for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can talk to Nathan and kind of learn about his dad, and also kind of learn how he buys drugs from Frank.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically the idea here.
Yeah.
Is to get that kind of get that inroad and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is all those everything you've done with Nathan is just like, this is maybe slightly harder if you've been a jerk, but he doesn't like tell you to fuck off. Like everyone will talk to you in this.
Mm-hmm.
Until you make them mad, then you just rewind.
Yeah. The way that I got through this was I talked to the cop about Nathan's dog, about Pompidou.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like it came out that
Frank's dog.
What's that?
Frank's dog.
Yeah, for Frank's dog. Yeah, sorry. It came out that Frank, he used to fight dogs, but he kind of saw the light and he rescued a bunch of them, and Pompidou is one of those rescues. So like you can go and, kind of talk to him about that, and that gets him to put his keys up on the table for a reason that I don't quite understand.
I don't understand it either.
Yeah.
Like I think that it was also me talking about the dog, but it was just like, you like dogs? I was like, yeah. But I didn't learn about the fighting ring thing, so I don't know what. I can't remember the path exactly.
Yeah, the dog detail is one of those things. It's a way that they try to humanize Frank.
Mm-hmm. Frank's not a bad dude.
Yeah, he comes across like that's almost how he's selling himself, and it's not great that he's going around and selling drugs. Like if he's selling like GHB to high schoolers. Like it's not necessarily the best
ideal
thing. But it's easier to buy his own personal revelations and his hero turns than a lot of the others, even if he is generally scary.
Yeah. He's a little bit unstable, but he's not. Yeah. Then this is the beginning of his redemption arc, which is more successful than some redemption arcs. Yeah. You manage to get inside the RV. You dig around in his hidden vents, which like all of them have stuff in them. Like there's no air that flows through those. To find his account book, which you take, and you find out that Rachel was sleeping with Frank.
Yes.
Which you have to share with Chloe. Mm-hmm. And she does not care for this, of course.
Yeah, she's devastated.
Yeah. And she starts blaming everyone. You're driving back with this stuff, and she's blaming everyone. And she's like, obviously it's my dad's fault. And you can ask, like, do you mean your dad, or your stepdad? Yeah. And it's her real dad. Mm-hmm. Like, this is what, this was fucked up my life.
Yeah. Everything went bad that day. you know, and she understands that it's irrational for her to do this, but her entire personality is to stand in opposition. She even says, like, if I don't have somebody to blame, then I have to blame myself, and that is not going to fly.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the most mature take on it, but it tracks.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tracks. So she drops you off at the dorm. You head inside and you see the photo that Joyce gave you of you when you were a kid. And for some reason, you can make it kind of wiggle.
Mm-hmm.
And unlocks your secondary mutation, your second time travel power, which is traveling into photos.
Yeah.
If you were waiting for any of this stuff to get explained, again, you'll be disappointed.
Right.
And this is also this weird god tier power.
Yeah.
This is very, very powerful.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous.
Yeah, and this is where this game turns into Steins Gate.
Yeah, it becomes really weird in a way that I don't think should work. But it doesn't stick with it, and that's why it kind of works.
She dallies with it and sees that it doesn't work out, and then she's like, "Nah, this." But
then she has to dally with it, later, and chooses to later, and it just kind of gets worse and worse and becomes really confusing and good.
Mm-hmm.
So you head back into the picture where you're your little version of yourself. And William and Chloe are making breakfast after a sleepover, and Chloe is very bright and cheerful, and William is just like very dad.text, like, well, sport, like,
perchance I shall procure some eggs for an omelet.
I'm a dad. It's an extremely idealized dad behavior. And you're trying to stop him from he gets a call to pick up his wife, and you're trying to stop it.
Yeah.
So you have to steal his keys. You can still rewind to the past.
This is really effective horror, actually, because his leaving the house feels inevitable. Like there are a lot of options that you have. Like you can go and talk to him, and you're not going to convince him. You just say like, hey, the traffic's really bad. Maybe you should just stay here or whatever. You can unplug the landline, but Joyce calls his cell phone.
Yeah.
You can hide his keys, but he's got a little dingus that'll beep when he presses a button so he can find them. Just like as you're going through this, you're rewinding over and over again. Like there's nothing you can do to stop him from leaving this house aside from just throwing his keys into the yard.
Yeah. Yep. And I put him in the sink.
Oh.
So, you can put him in a couple different places.
Nice.
One of the things about this game that we didn't really talk about, separates a little bit from The Walking Dead, is that even though all choices lead to the same thing, there's a wider breadth of kind of middle material to get different articulations. There's an article that was on a website that is escaping me right now.
I can believe that.
Where it's usually where you find articles these days. Am I right? Where they Don't Nod actually gave them a copy of their dialogue tree for an encounter coming later, and it is very complicated.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty neat to actually see. And this is one of those situations where there's just a lot of different possibilities.
Yeah. That's where they spend most of their money, actually, is in writing and casting, but voice acting all this.
Yeah. Yep. But you eventually stop it. It's not optional to stop it. I really wish it had been.
Right.
I understand why it wouldn't have been, but that would have been, extra work, but would have been cool. And when you stop it, he takes the bus instead, so he doesn't get in the accident. The photo fades, and you get to see these little things that happen when you do this power,
right? Which
is reality changing. You see history changing. Photos for your life, like it's Chloe, getting her first tattoo, and then it gets destroyed into her being valedictorian,
right?
Stuff like that. Like it's things like that until eventually it turns into her getting into a car crash.
Yeah.
When she's 16, because a car crash.
Well, so the crash isn't revealed here. What's revealed is
she gets into the car.
It's a picture of her, like it's on her birthday, and she's holding up the keys.
The keys, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The crash is shown later. But you come back, and obviously you've made a pretty big change. Max's life is different because of this.
Yes.
Because William never died. She wakes up and she's on the quad with the mean girls. And in fact, she is now the alpha here. Victoria is being very deferential to her.
Yep. You're now a mean girl.
Yes.
Yeah. This is fine. This part of stuff, like the thing that like this whole section is really weird to me because even in the moment, like I was like, this shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Like the series of choices that would have to make all these things happen, some of which follow, right? So like I was like, why would Max end up popular here?
Yeah.
And I don't know, right? Like she kind of abandoned Chloe regardless
Right,
of
right.
what happened, and that's what happened in this one too.
Mm-hmm.
It's butterfly effect stuff, but it's not.
It's a good way to. I mean, like, that is kind of like primarily what we know about Max is her current situation.
Mhm.
That is, I think, the one lever that they could hit to show how her to show that the world is different for her and to make it feel dramatic and outsized.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then they do the thing that they're going to do when they do the Chloe reveal that is even bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just kind of like it did feel a little bit arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is trying to be butterfly effecty stuff, but
Yeah.
I kept expecting it like, what is this saying about Max? What is this saying about Victoria? And the answer is kind of nothing.
Right.
It's just there can be unexpected and arbitrary changes when you fuck with time.
Yeah.
Because so when you go to eventually you go to Chloe's, you figure out, you see Madsen's now a bus driver. He's no longer a security guard, so he fell a really long way, I guess. And when you go to Chloe, as you ride to Chloe's, you see that a bunch of whales have beached themselves, which I love that image.
Yeah.
And then when you actually get there to Chloe's house, William's alive, but Chloe is in a wheelchair. She's a quadriplegic.
Yes.
And like, this is an effective moment, right? As far as impact goes. But I was like, it just kind of felt like, why would this happen a little bit?
Yeah.
Having that one change instead of every change maybe would have been more effective to me rather than having you be with the mean girls.
Right.
Like, cause I kept looking for that to have a character reasoning. And this feels like this doesn't quite have this is just kind of like, oh shit, chaos, even though it's all oh shit chaos.
Yeah. Like I understand what they're doing with Chloe specifically. Like I don't know the Max stuff, but like the idea that Chloe is fated to die, like that is strictly pulled from Steins Gate. Like that, like there is track laid for this in other time travel fiction, that there are people who are like victims of a convergence, right? Like no matter what you do, this is going to happen to them.
Yeah. Even though it's not in this, because at the end you get to choose not to have it happen. Right.
There are ways you can get around it, but a lot has to be given up to do it.
Yeah. I don't know if I like that trope. Like I've never played Steins Gate, but I do think that's kind of stupid. I don't like fate.
Yeah.
As a plot construct, no matter how much cool time travel stuff.
Yeah.
Happens around it. And she doesn't. In both of these situations, you get to choose whether she actually dies. Like it's still a tragedy. But it's that doesn't track for me as well as maybe it could. Like it works as an emotional moment.
Oh yeah,
like, I think the plot mechanics of it are dumb.
Yeah, if you don't think about it too much, it'll land really hard. Like this.
If you don't think about it too much, it'll land very hard. You heard it here, folks. Pulls on my side about that bullshit.
I like that visual novel very, very much. I think the anime is better. And there's a lot of stuff that is justified in the story that I don't feel the need to explain, and also it wouldn't be a good podcast if I did that. Okay, yeah, no, but here specifically, like in this,
it's getting revenge on that high school is anime.
Oh yeah.
And Akira predates Jean Grey bullshit. You did an hour ago. You thought I forgot. Gary will remember this.
Gary will remember this. No, I was trying to segue us into talking about the impact of this. Chloe's fate here. And maybe this is a point that is worth making. Maybe this is me copying to being lazy in some regard. I don't know. This still lands, even if I understand the buttons they're hitting for this are really cheap. Like I cried. I cried at this the first time I played it. And I fucking cried this time too. Like it's tragic. It sucks. I don't know.
It's definitely sad. It's to me, it seems like it's trying to, like, when I try to think about what they're doing with the character, is this idea, because as we're going to find out, and we can just kind of get into it, but we talk about the character. She's very different. She's a different person.
Yeah. No,
and that was the messaging I thought I was supposed to take from this, is that, kind of a little bit of like a generic message, but still one that's true, cliche, is that like these things that are tragedies actually make us who we are.
Yes.
This version of Chloe has lost a lot of her spark, not just because she's a quadriplegic, but also just because she just doesn't have that life to her.
Right.
That she did before, like this kind of will to live, like being a fighter. She like definitively doesn't have that.
Right.
As this version of her. And that's what I was thinking this was meant to tell us, is just that, like, don't fuck with the past because the things that you went through that you would rather have not gone through made you what you are.
Yeah, and that ends up being a secondary or tertiary moral to this, as a backseat to the fate side of it. And I can understand that being a disappointment.
And that's just the big bummer. Like, I would eliminate fate from fiction if I could. Like, I don't care for a fate at anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we talked about that with BioShock Infinite a little bit too. Like, I think this is way more successful.
Yeah.
But it's just very unsatisfying to just be like, yeah, this is gonna suck no matter what. Who cares?
Right. Right.
You know, it doesn't matter which reality we're in. It doesn't matter what time travel. It doesn't matter what redemption you do. It's just gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not. You know, it doesn't track. It doesn't feel real, and it's, I don't think, very thematically strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the again, emotional impact is huge, and I'm here for the character so much that like it still like has an impact. Like, it's still really good.
I'm here for the character for sure, but the performance also does a lot of heavy lifting here because Ashley Birch just has a different voice, a different affect, you know, to the way she delivers this. Not just because of, you know, the physical condition, but just kind of more generally beaten down and subdued, right?
Yeah. Great job.
Yeah.
So this is the cliffhanger as well.
Yes.
So like I was trying to Google to see whether it was avoidable, whether you had to save the dad, which I wish you didn't have to. But I was trying to check that out, and the message boards were going crazy about this, like, at the time, which is pretty fun to see. Little snapshot. This moves us on to chapter 4, The Dark Room. And we start off with you walking on the beach with Chloe past these dying whales, which is like gross.
I mean, it would stink, but also it is a cataclysmic number of whales.
Yeah, it's exceedingly surreal and cool and scary. It's a great image. Weird place to take a walk. Yeah, just go to your lighthouse.
Yeah.
And it's very awkward. Like, Chloe's voice is different. She's very defeated, and after the accident, you find out you also kind of took off.
Yeah.
You know, like you did not stay good friends.
Yeah. And you can go and check your text too.
Yeah.
And kind of see just the large gaps in communication. And you kind of saying like, yeah, I'll come visit, and then not.
Yep. So yeah, her back snapped. She never met Rachel in this timeline, but the snow and the eclipse still happened, which is important. Like, those things are transcending reality.
Right. Max will drop a hella into conversation, and Chloe, very humorous, says, hella. I hate that word. No offense.
Yeah, it was the car accident that stops you from. So that's the price you pay to not use that dumb word.
Sliding doors, man.
Yeah, exactly. You head to her room now. It's actually the garage.
Yeah.
That you were in. That's now set up as her, like, you know, cool station, her like medical station.
Yeah, filled with all kinds of medical stuff. You know, she's got an accessible computer, and her family is, you know, just going into terrible amounts of debt to keep her alive. They've gone to tremendous lengths to, you know, to keep her here, but it is costing quite a bit.
And they're being, you know, they love their daughter, of course. Like, they're good people. Yeah. She says, I love this. This is a really great little detail. Like, she says she acts out to get them to yell at her. Yeah. Because they just, you know, they need to express that frustration somehow. And she knows that. Like, this is a very wise version of Chloe.
Yeah.
And
she's wise, but she's also still acting out. Like, there are constants here, you know, like she's always going to act out, but just for different reasons.
Well, yeah, she's manipulating them to a good end.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to her own ends. Right. She has this huge DVD collection, which, of course, like, you're quadriplegic, you probably watch a lot of movies, right? Presumably. And you guys watch Blade Runner, and you fall asleep, like, in an ergonomically aggressive position that would probably destroy your back and turn you into, you know, also not in great shape.
Yeah.
And in the morning, Chloe starts having a headache. She gets these headaches, these pains, and she's like, you know, my parents don't really want me to have it. Go upstairs and get some morphine for me.
Right.
You can stop and let her be in pain for a little while to talk to William, which I did, because I was just like, I want to talk to this guy who I brought back from the dead.
Yeah.
You know, but also it's cruel in retrospect.
Yeah. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
But you know, he's sitting there at the kitchen table, you know, poring over the bills, and just kind of like learning what life is like now, and, you know, again, just poking around and seeing how things are different. Like in this version, they actually did get a chance to go to France, but there's heartbreak to that, which is
Yeah.
like, oh, Chloe wanted to go to school there, but that's just not feasible.
Yep.
You know, you can go upstairs and talk to Joyce as well. And this is where she says like, yeah, you know, Chloe's condition is deteriorating. You know, her respiratory system is going downhill. And at this point, we're just kind of trying to cherish every day because we love our daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even more sad, you can go into her old room and see just all the boxes like they never did anything else with the room.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, that rings true. And, you know, you can see like they bought her crutches at one point because they thought she was going to be able to walk again. And they never got rid of them. It just profoundly tragic shit.
Yeah. Super sad.
Yeah.
When you go back to the morphine and give her some, she's talking to you before she gets high, like essentially from her, not high, but you know what I mean? Like before she goes into any kind of daze from the medication. And she admits like, yeah, I know my health is failing.
Right.
Like, listen, this has been really meaningful to me that you came back. You know, we had this time, and, you know, we just went for a walk. It may not seem like that much to you, but this was huge to me.
Yeah.
And there's a really great, you know, actually the main character. So like when you talk about the performance, she actually does like a really good job with this Max, with this version of being guilty for something that she didn't necessarily do in this world.
Yeah.
It reminds me most of, have you ever had a situation where you have a dream where you're a real asshole and then you act a little bit differently to the person you were an asshole to in real life?
Not really. No, I don't have those kind of dreams.
I've definitely had that happen before where I have a dream where I'm kind of guilty about something and then I didn't actually do it. But then when I talk to the person in real life, I'm a little bit more tender to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because it's like, I remember it, even though it didn't happen.
Yeah, you remember it. And I could also see like, oh, maybe I had that dream because I do feel bad deep down about something that I did that I may, you know, maybe is not toward the surface. Right.
Yeah.
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 And so, you know, also it's probably nice to just be nicer to people too.
In this very specific way of just kind of being like, you know, and I love one of the little bits of like deft characterization of this is like, Chloe's definitely smart enough to see through it, but there's almost like a willful choosing not to look through that illusion.
Yeah.
You know, like the Chloe we know, the fighter Chloe we know would look at this and say, hey, what the hell is going on? Like you show up after all this time off and now you're saying you'll never go, we're going to hang out together every day and you'll visit me every day and we'll never be a part. That's bullshit. Yeah. But this version of Chloe is not that fighter Chloe. This version of Chloe is pretty run down and defeated and is going to take anything that she can get. Yeah. Almost so much so that she like turns and says like, hey, this has been so great. Like, I want this to be my last memory. Like, I'm costing my parents too much money. The guilt is too much. Yeah. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm going to die.
It is for no good.
It is for no good. Like, let this be my last memory and let me die on my own terms.
Yeah.
And who's the monster who doesn't do this?
About half of the people who played the game and about half of our friends, people that I see on Steam also.
Why?
Yeah.
What is the thinking? What is the idea?
Yeah.
But like, not only is it just like so clearly like the best thing to do morally, but also dramatically. And you have time travel powers.
Yeah.
The like in every sense of the word, this is the right decision.
Yeah.
You know?
Regardless, even if this choice wouldn't matter, who knows if this timeline doesn't continue as you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a very, very like compelling argument to be like, hey, I'm bankrupting all these people and I'm in a lot of pain. Like, let me end this on my terms. Like, who gets ended on their terms? Like, what a gift to give to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that whole, like, somebody shoot me while I'm happy, thing. There's some like jazz pianist used to say that, like, it's a Kurt Vonnegut quote where he's quoting a guy, but he used to say that, like, when he's playing music. And like, I think about that all the time. Like, most of us die alone and in pain. Yeah. And that's the end condition for most people. And if you can instead die surrounded by your loved ones with like the happiest memories you've had in years, like, recent, like, why would you not give that to somebody?
Yeah. Notwithstanding the fact that euthanasia by morphine is nowhere near that quick or pretty.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, this is fictional.
Yeah.
Euthanasia by morphine. This is the go to sleep.
Yeah.
Thing is what they're going for with this.
Yeah. No, I still agree. Weirdly, it has come up. on a lot of shows, specifically nowhere more pronounced than when I did a stream of Soma. And that is a game that primarily concerns itself with some of those choices and like is this person here anymore? And I was fucking Dr. Sleep, man. I was going through and I was like, nope, you're down. I was putting people out. I was turning people off like lights.
You're leaving the mansion for the last time. I feel like quality of life is just super important.
And agency.
Agency is really big. Agency's real big.
And I think that we talk about these choices not mattering, or how much of an impact does this have? For me, like you run into these situations of games, and you're almost testing your values against them, right? Either role playing as this character or bringing your own values to what happens. I think that is super valuable, and I think that's a huge part of the prestige of something like this.
Absolutely. Like, even though I have some minor quibbles with like kind of the mechanics of what this happened, what this choice of the thing, it does force you to answer those questions in a similar way to like there are situations in Witcher 3 that do it. Things like that, where it is you testing, like you said, that's a good way to put it. Like, you're bringing your morals. It's a moral test. And making those decisions is one of the best. Making a decision feel like that is one of the best things a video game can do with a decision. Like, is it if people are debating it and discussing the moral ramifications of it for years after it came out, So super good. Super good. After you do that, you go back through that photo. You're like, okay, and you even know you're going to undo this. Right. Like, this is tragic. So you go back to the photo, to the breakfast, and let him drive away.
Right.
And get killed, and you burn the photo, so you cannot actually be tempted to do this again.
Don't change your mind.
You can't change your mind. You burn that road behind you. So now we're back in the main plot, and I'm so glad it didn't do the BioShock Infinite thing of like, now we're in this whole totally different story.
Right. No,
that was the thing I was very scared of. But now we're back in the actual, like, let's figure out what's happening here.
Yes. You wake up in Chloe's room. You're not in your dorm room where you took the trip initially. Like, things are subtly different, but not different enough that it's entirely derailed. And you've been working through the night trying to solve this case. We have a rough plan of action. We need to decipher Frank's logbook. We need to get a hold of Nathan's phone, or at least some information from his room. And we also need to go into David's files to figure out if he, in his own creepy fascist detective work, has figured out anything about this dark room that Nathan talked about.
I love the dark room.
Yep.
As a concept, it sounds like a Grant Morrison.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like Black Bug Room. Yeah.
It sounds like that, but it being a photography thing. This is one of the more clever touches in the game, I think.
Yeah.
So you go down to the garage using this old combination that you got in order to get into David's locker, and you find his file on Kate, which includes the coordinates of where her car has been. Like, he put a tracker on her car.
The coordinates of where everybody's car has been.
Yeah, he's putting trackers on people's cars. Like, this guy is not good.
Unacceptable. Yeah.
Yep. And you go visit Kate in the hospital.
If you saved her. I don't know what happens.
If you saved her. Yeah. Then you just go visit an empty hospital room for a while. You T-pose in an empty hospital room for the equivalent time.
Why is the T-pose so funny?
No, it's really good though. Yeah. I was playing Arkham Asylum, and there's a great glitch where Batman has detective vision and was looking at a guard through a wall, and the guard T-posed and slid into place, and I was just like cackling. Like, oh, it looks like Two-Face is up to his own tricks. Like, zoop.
Yeah. Chloe's with you, but she doesn't go into the room. Instead, she apologizes for losing it over the phone call.
Yep.
That you took earlier. And inside, like, this is mostly just color. Max catches up with her and talks about the case as like, hey, we're trying to figure out what happened to you. We want to try and save more people. Ostensibly, this is so that Kate will give you some information about Nathan. Really, all she does is send you his room number, which you can get by looking at a map. So
yeah.
They could have just disposed of that and just had this be like a check-in on your friend who was in a terrible situation. They were trying
to make it feel like it was mechanically an advantage to do the good thing earlier.
Yeah.
Like it's a game nod. Yeah. Chloe and Max go back to the dorms. Jefferson stops you to talk.
Yeah.
Essentially says, hey, I'll be at the party to announce the contest winner. I'm sorry you didn't apply.
Yeah.
Apply yourself, but you should show up there. And Chloe is super hot
she is
teacher.
horned. She says that. She says like hot for a teacher. You know, she's horned up.
Yeah. So people love this dude.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to fuck this guy. And it's one of the things too I like about this game is that like the queer subtext that can become text is everyone's bi.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like about that is just because you just don't see it very often.
Yeah, it's just you know, like the bi erasure is a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it is. It makes sense, especially for So it's So you actually get in, you go into Nathan's room, and I love this.
So good.
Yeah, this is really cool. So like, just this guy I've had a hate on for this fucker, kind of the entire game.
He's incredibly talented.
Yeah, he's very talented. Well, I mean, according to Max, he's very talented, but also this is like really fucked up shit. Like, tons of photos of people in bondage and stuff. And until eventually you find this drugged up fetal position Chloe picture.
Yeah.
Really, really fucked up. You're getting a little bit of like humanization or whatever.
Yeah.
This email from his father, again, really laying down that cult stuff. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, his dad is like talking about his business empire, saying like, it is the time will soon come when you must live up to your destiny.
Yes. Is this Runaways? Like, what is happening with this? Right? Like, yeah. But you eventually the operative thing is you get his burner phone. And when you leave, he shows up and he's really freaking out and he's dangerous at this point. He has a gun at this point, but Warren shows up and headbutts him. And I let Warren beat the ever living shit out of this
I'm not
dude.
going to stop him.
Because this guy's, he's got to go.
Yeah.
Like this guy has got to go. And whatever that means, he's got to go. And he's whimpering on the ground and he's sorry. And I'm like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Like good.
This isn't good for Warren. Well, Warren's not cut out for this.
No, Warren has a rough time with it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I imagine he still shows up as an option, even if you've been cold to Warren. There's a subplot about him inviting you to go see drive-in movie theater, and a subplot with a girl who likes Warren, who thinks you're cock blocking her.
Yeah.
Just in the little friend plots on the side. But I kind of played as like Warren's a good friend, and maybe I'll go on a date with Warren.
Yeah.
Like he seems awesome. Like not just because he's a nice guy or I owe him for beating up these people, but because he's like fun and funny and the rapport is really good.
Yeah. And you can have movie buddies. Like it's fine.
Yeah. You could have a movie date.
Yeah.
Like just because, even if I don't know what my canonical Max was in relation to Chloe, but even if my canonical Max was into Chloe, that doesn't mean that my canonical Max, can't go on a date.
Yeah.
Can't play the field a little bit. So fuck Nathan though. If Nathan gets the shit beat out of him, good.
Yeah.
When you head outside, you see Frank. We're gonna meet him. That is the next stop. We're gonna meet him out by his little parking lot where he lives sometimes.
Yeah.
This is the one that article kind of shows all the different permutations of this encounter.
Yeah, this specifically feels like a demo piece almost.
Yeah.
To kind of show you how the time manipulation is going to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is a very complicated kind of dialogue.
Yeah.
Boss battle.
What you're here for? So the account book that you got from him, has a bunch of transaction information, but all of the names are encoded. Like different people are corresponded with different dog breeds. And so you need to get the key for this cipher, which he has on him. And, a drug dealer is not going to give up his client list. Right. And you can fuck this up really, really badly. Like it can go as bad as it ever could go. And you can just have that be the case. He can
get killed. You can get the account book from his body. Yeah.
Chloe can kill him and his dog and you guys leave.
Yep. And the game continues on. I kept going for something better than that because I didn't like that ending.
Yeah.
And the ideal, the way to get through it is just to treat him like a human being and apologize essentially. And the work they had done previously to kind of humanize him really helps with this.
Yes. You can say I really need you to close that door because, I know Pompidou's is a good dog, but please close that. And you just have to A, not reveal that you had snooped around in his stuff, and B, talk about Rachel and not from any kind of accusatory point of view.
Yeah. And you have to put Chloe in check.
Yes, you have to say
the
Chloe.
First thing you have to do is say, Chloe, don't act like me. You literally say.
Yeah. Well, for me, you only get one instruction for, I say, Chloe, for the love of God, please throw that gun away.
Oh, okay. I told her just not to. I kept the gun because I wanted to keep it in case this guy went bad.
Yeah.
But I had told her to shut her mouth. Just don't smart off.
That did not work for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very complicated. Like,
Yeah.
I've literally seen the map of it, and it's
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah.
So it's like there's lots of different paths to success, and they're all paths to success other than getting murdered.
Right.
Which can also happen. There are a couple of deaths that can result in this, but it's really good. It's I think it's as good as they do.
Yeah.
With this this mechanic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what comes out, like he did love Rachel, right? And he kind of knew it was going to be temporary. He knew that she had bigger things coming her way, but still, when she went down, that's kind of when his life went to shit too. Like Rachel is this load bearing friend for basically the entire community.
Baited. Yeah. I wonder if that's Before the Storm deals with that kind of shit.
I want to play it. I want to see. I kind of want to learn more about Rachel.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. I don't think I'll watch a Let's Play, because watching a Let's Play of these seems unsatisfying to me.
Right.
I would like to read a detailed synopsis.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that it's by a different developer and kind of some of the things I've read about it make me feel like playing it is not the thing I really want to do.
Also, I mean, it was made during the voice actor strike, so Ashley Birch isn't in it.
Yeah, stabs.
I don't know. Like, I never watched any of your videos. I don't like Borderlands, so I don't have any affection for her. All of my affection for her is for this performance. So
yeah,
good on her for that, I guess.
Yeah. So once you get the book, you head back to Chloe's to put together the clues. The most explicitly detective, and this is pretty good.
Yeah.
This is you kind of putting together details. So you use Frank's account book of the and the code that you have, everyone, to put together the times and locations for all the drug deals where Nathan was there. And then you use David's surveillance data and Nathan's car to figure out where he's been. And then you take his burner phones and his text to find out when the drug deal was that he drugged Kate, and figure out what time that was and see where his car was.
Yeah. So you're triangulating to get down to this one particular spot, which is this this abandoned kind of farmhouse, the Dead Dog Ranch, like from Twin Peaks, right?
Yep. So we head out there to this farm. I was expecting this to be immediately darker than it is,
right?
And it happens eventually, but initially it's kind of let down. They do a really good job with that. Just kind of doing farm games to get.
So you played summer games, you played winter games, you played California games. Now it's time for farm games.
Farm games. Yeah, it's a lot of fun fare. Using a squirt gun to ignite a candle and stuff. Until you find this like hatch in the ground, and you have to do farm games to open it up. It's fine. But once you actually open it up and get the code for it, which is in Nathan's own school documents, it's this pristine bunker.
And that's how the Prescotts kind of made their fortune, actually, if you read some of the articles.
This bunker selling.
They rose to prominence in the Fallout shelter kind
bunker
of wave.
boom. So you're down there, and it's really creepy. There are photo albums for all these different girls. And stuff with pictures of them in bondage stuff and everything. And the next empty one is for Victoria that they found. And you see Chloe finds the Rachel binder and flips through it and sees a picture of her in the junkyard that is hurt. And, more than hurt. Like, I think the photo, like, Chloe doesn't want to believe it.
Right. Like,
but this is her dead.
Yeah. And so you go to the junkyard, to the place where this photo was taken. Early, so we didn't mention this. There's a ghost deer that's following you around.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
I don't care for ghost deer, actually.
No,
I think this is pretty dumb. I would excise all of the animal spiritualism stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the ghost deer, the entire character of the janitor.
Yeah.
I would get rid of. I think that it's superfluous and like a red herring at best. Like meant to kind of lead you to things, but especially looking at the thing in summary, like this stuff is dumb. Ghost deer is dumb.
But you go to the place where you saw the ghost deer initially, like that is supposed to represent both Rachel and Max. And you don't have to dig too far until you find Rachel's body. Rachel has been dead all along. Chloe didn't want to believe it. And it's kind of just, they've been talking around it, but here it is, incontrovertible proof.
Yep, extremely fucked up.
Yes.
During this whole time, there's been this weird subplot of the Vortex Club, which is essentially the cool kids, but kind of sponsored by the rich family.
Yeah, it's like a key club kind of thing.
Yep, there's a whole like Vortex Club parties are this like very known thing. That's the party that Kate was in, and they're having an end of the world party for Halloween.
Right.
which you are now going to because Chloe wants to find Nathan to shoot him in the face.
Yes. Yeah. She is so driven, she does not care that there appears to be two moons in the sky.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
outside the party, Warren is drunk, basically just trying to cope with all the violence and also like all the crazy stuff that's happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he takes a selfie of you, which is important.
Yes.
And you're just asking around for Nathan.
Right.
Like basically Chloe leaves you, you're trying to find Chloe, but mostly you're trying to find Nathan and checking in on kind of all your buddies.
Yes.
Kind of the last chance to do the persona social links portion of this.
Last chance to save Alyssa before the big scene with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Alyssa being the girl who keep pushing out of the way
right.
from things.
Yeah.
There's a VIP section of this where you could presume that Nathan's been expelled. We forgot to mention that, but he got expelled after the suicide attempt. And you get back into this VIP section by fucking up the DJ, where the DJ looks at you and then walks at you like he's also going to stab you in the face for unplugging a speaker.
His name's DJ Doom, Gary.
Yeah,
I don't think DJ Doom fucks around.
He's gonna get you. So you rewind time, of course, but it's just like very like, I'm gonna die from interrupting music. Begin the VIP section, and this person Victoria, who's this villain. That she's supposedly the next victim of this.
Right.
So you have this choice to try to warn her, and if you've been nice to her, she'll listen to you. If not, she won't listen to you. Like I tried to warn her, but she was not taking it, and I was like, well, I don't feel bad about being shitty to this person who is a monster,
right?
And she eventually, there are a couple like redemption things they try to do. Like one of the things about this game is like everybody gets redeemed except for the one unredeemable person who we'll get to in a second. But like they, she took down the video and stuff, and I was just like, yeah, but you put it up. Like it's like I don't care that you took it down. Like that's a really fucked up, cruel thing to do, and I don't think you'd be a good person and do that at the same time.
Right.
Yep. So, yeah. Strict moralist Gary Butterfield logging out onto this thing. Like it's
just like I don't know. Like it's gonna take more.
You get a lot of red in your ledger.
Trust but verify, right? Like just like it would take more than her taking it down for me to be convinced that she believed that she understood what she did was wrong. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, like just like fake. She understood the consequences of it.
Yeah, people can change. There is redemption, just not on the scale, I think.
Well, and just not that quickly.
Yeah,
like
that's what I mean on this time scale.
I'm not even like criticizing the game for not putting in more time to redeem Victoria. Right. I don't care about Victoria at this point. I am in the main plot of this, but it wasn't enough to make me think. It's kind of a victim of the game. Same thing, I guess, with a security douchebag. Like, I don't think it's like acceptable to hit somebody in a thing. Do I think that means that you are forever like? There's literally no amount of change or therapy or repentance you can do. No, I think that you can probably come back from that. If it's not a habitual thing, you might be able to come back from that, but it just doesn't happen in this.
Right.
And the problem with the way that this redeems that character is they redeem him. They make him right. Yeah, they make him right. Like it's in retrospect. It's not actually him learning about what he did.
Right.
So like that's the problem with that redemption.
Yeah.
So, as you're leaving, Jefferson shows up to announce the winner. It's Victoria, and she dedicates her win to Kate, which, depending on how much work you've done with her, either feels false or true.
Right.
And when you go outside, you see Nathan, and he's sending a threatening message from the junkyard. Yeah. He's like, "Come to the junkyard."
Yeah. And when this happens, the moons merge. Yeah. So ominously, and when you get to the burial site. Like, hey, you're there with Chloe. Someone drugs Max when she gets injected in the neck. Oops, start in your neck.
And it's a little weird. Like, Chloe's first move is to start digging up the corpse.
Yeah.
She's like, what did they do with the corpse? Right. Which is a little weird. Like, they just had to have her back turned.
Yeah.
But I found that a little bit of a strange, not too terribly strange.
Yeah.
But then shoots Chloe in the head.
Yeah. So Max can't rewind. She tries a couple times, but she's going unconscious, can't do it. And this person shoots Chloe, kills her.
Yep. And you're like, oh, fuck that Nathan guy. But dun. It's actually Jefferson.
Yeah, it's your teacher. It's Mark.
It's evil teacher. Which ends up making sense a lot. And I really love this like last chapter, which is dealing with that. Like, I think this chapter has a couple of bummer, like there's a little stealth sequence that's really dumb.
Yeah.
partway through it. It goes a little too like dreamy weemy metaphorical with some stuff.
Yeah.
But like just dealing with this for the last chapter, I think is actually pretty great.
Yeah.
It's longer, it's a little padded, but I think this is, I was very compelled, and maybe on this like CSI level, like I don't know if I was compelled because of Pulp Fiction and it's cheap, but I was real into it.
Yeah. And also, judge me how you will. I didn't see this coming.
No, me either.
Yeah. This is a good fake, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have made, it's one of the things, it's actually interesting. So like the idea to redeem Nathan, the reason why that doesn't work is because this is a good fake. Like they had to make that character so fucking awful
that you believed.
And then they try to kind of have their cake and eat it too, which is the part I don't buy.
Yeah.
This is but yeah, this good fake totally got me. I was just like, oh man.
Yeah. I
can't
imagine kind of playing these concurrently when they come out and waiting like 12 weeks to get like it's like, oh shit.
It's super good. So we start with the final chapter, Polarized, which begins with you waking up in the dark room. Again, one of the more clever things about this. Yeah. You're duct taped to a chair.
And nobody's here.
Nobody's there. Yep. So you focus on this photo where you can go back to when Jefferson was there.
Yeah. So it's a photo of her kind of like tied up in the chair, drugged, completely zonked out.
Yep. I will say too, I think that this performance from the Jefferson actor is great.
Yeah.
Like throughout the game, like as Chloe's performance is probably top billing. I would put the second one to this guy.
Yeah.
Who is a boring, shitty kind of like stereotype teacher early on, and then becomes like a pretty convincing like Thomas Harris villain. Like it's gonna be like a Silence of the Lambs sequel or something like that. Like art crime is like art murderers, and art crime is always something that's interesting to me. Like there's not a whole lot of that, but it's definitely a trope. And I think it's cool. Like I think it's not overused and is compelling to me.
Yeah. And just how completely deranged he is. He does a good job. This voice actor, whose name I can't recall off the top of my head, does a very good job of kind of having those two kind of speeds. And
shutter speeds.
That's not what
as the Batman villain known as Snapshot. He's
he has those two different speeds, and you can kind of see like when he is free to be himself in this dark room, how it tries to assert the smarmy professor kind of angle of himself, and the real part of him comes through, and he is going back and forth wildly between them, by like almost like lecturing to nobody in particular, to this unconscious people, and then in the next breath or in the same breath screaming at them to stay still. It's I made that joke about him being a Batman villain, but this actually, the fact that he feels like a supervillain is no mistake, right? This has the trappings, is referred to many times as a superhero origin story by the characters within it. And this being like his Max's Mr. Glass, the first villain she deals with, makes a lot of sense. Actually, is like pretty neat. So his whole bit he's going on, he's like, the slightly unconscious artist, is the slightly unconscious person is the perfect model. Yes,
is the perfect model. Like they're not aware of themselves. They're very vulnerable. There's no vanity. There's no posing. It's just their expression. Again, really great performance. Really creepy. Really dark. And we find out that Jefferson saw Max and Chloe on the surveillance camera,
which of course there is.
So he saw the surveillance camera and texted Max from Nathan's phone. You were so easy to trick.
And he does something kind of interesting, saying like, oh, when Nathan killed Chloe, like he's trying to keep the story straight, and he's going to kill Max. Is going to be the best. You're going to be the best model yet, essentially. And Max is completely tied up, and we have to use her powers to get out of this predicament.
So since you're in the past, before you pass out, you have to kick this medical cart, so it'll be slightly in a different position. In the future, you spill this drug. which creates another photo. When you go back to the present, there's another one where you're more awake because you didn't get drugged.
Right.
So now you go back into the photo where you're more awake and you can actually talk back and forth.
Right.
And Jefferson, again, he's doing a supervillain thing. Like, I am obsessed with the moment that innocence transitions into corruption.
Right.
You know, these students that are rich and idealistic and I think they have their whole future ahead of them are exactly what I want.
Yeah. They've got so much that when I break them, it's sublime.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He had a willing helper in Nathan, not only somebody who was fragile enough and, you know, just in a precarious enough position, but also had tremendous resources. You know, all of this was paid for with the Prescott fortune.
Yep. And again, this is trying to be a little bit sympathetic, you know, to Nathan here, because Nathan has daddy issues.
Yeah.
And Nathan killed Rachel, and Nathan was trying to be like daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he tried to do the same trick, but couldn't do it, and he overdosed her.
Right.
And Jefferson killed Nathan. This person who we thought was the villain up until this point is dead at this point. The reason why he was not at the party is because he was dead.
Right.
And that guy fucking sucks.
Yes.
Not saying he's as bad as Jefferson, but he is, you know, he cannot be.
Well, Gary, only the worst instance of any given behavior deserves to be punished.
Yeah.
So
as long as there's something worse.
As long as there's anybody else out there, you know, there's no reason to be good. So
yeah, at least it's not this. You know, if you can't help everybody, don't help anybody.
Right. Right.
You know, and always bright side shit. So like if it's like, oh well, at least he's not this. That's exactly the kind of thing that people want to hear all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So you kind of antagonize him, and you eventually get him to, and you kind of talk to him and you say, hey, can I, you know, look at this diary that I have, because you know you can travel in time through pictures. When he throws the diary at you, you have that there, and it opens up on the selfie that you took at the beginning of the game, so you can actually travel back in time to the very beginning of the game. And this is awesome. You play the first scene, so you get to see how creepy Jefferson was being then.
Oh yeah,
like he literally says, like, I could take a picture of any of you in a moment of absolute desperation,
right,
and make it a masterpiece or something like that. It's like very creepy, and you get to like just totally be like an asshole to him. Which is very satisfying.
Yeah. And Max is being like very threatening, but also like doing a bad job of being cryptic about it. Like, oh, I hope you have a good day. For now, who knows what's going to happen?
It's really, really tipping your hand in a way that, you know, oh, maybe the future might change. This guy slits my throat in my sleep, actually. Right. So maybe be a little bit chiller than that. But
but yeah, you get the opportunity. You can berate Victoria, you can comfort Kate, and in this version she hands in the photo, right? And also in this version, what you have done is you've looked in the school pamphlet, found David Madsen's phone number, and texted him basically the information saying, hey, follow Jefferson to the dark room. That's where Rachel went. So you blew up his spot. Yep. And when you return, you know, all of the photos change as you go back into the present, and you're watching the events of this week play out, you know, and Max and Chloe have reunited. Jefferson has been taken into custody. And when you wake up, you are on the plane. You know, the part of the reward for winning this photo contest for Everyday Heroes was to go on this trip to a gallery in San Francisco and kind of begin your art career, to be feted, right?
Yeah.
But instead of being with Mark, you've got Principal Wells sitting next to you.
Yeah. And he just kind of says, yeah, that was pretty fucked up how we hired a serial killer. You know, let's go get some snacks. I love snacks and I love booze. I'm the principal. You go through and you talk about this whole, and one of the things I really like about this is that this idea of you being concerned about your career or being an artist has been backseated for so long.
No.
And even in this moment it is, right? Like you get to this point and people are trying, like, this should be the best moment of your life. People are talking to you about, you know, your art, everything, and our version of Max hasn't cared about that for forever.
No, her concerns are
much bigger than that. So it's kind of great to have this thing that would have been just kind of show the growth of the character in terms of scale or size or scope of what they're dealing with, by showing them, you know, be dismissive and bored of this thing that would have been the highlight of an ordinary life.
Right.
You know, so yeah, pretty great. But however, when you're going, you check your phone and Chloe calls you and says, hey, the tornado is coming to the town. It's going to fuck up everything.
Yeah. So you didn't fix anything. I didn't fix shit.
Like, you definitely, but that's a weird thing is like, you definitely fix something.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know,
thing, yeah.
You know, just it's this is a little bit weird. This is where the theme of you can't fix everything gets really kind of hammered in.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of have to choose what you fix
Mhm.
at this point. And she's also has not put together the connection between the tornado and her going back and doing time shit,
Right.
which is a little bit frustrating just because the player will have figured that out from like episode 1,
Yeah.
you know, from the first nosebleed.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it's my priorities, right? Like you get tunnel vision on solving the Chloe and Jefferson problem, and solving Rachel's murder, that like this looming impending deadline. You know, you think that, okay, well, if I solve one, it's going to solve everything, and no, actually, you just made it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go back and you focus on your picture, your selfie that you took as the in front of your wall of selfies that somehow got into a gallery.
Somehow making you an everyday hero. I don't understand that.
Somehow making you an everyday hero, or somehow being good art.
Yeah.
Neither of which I really understand. This Polaroid of being gallery worthy.
Yeah.
But this jumps you back to your dorm room. And everything is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, like you're through photos within photos at this point. Like, this is where reality starts kind of coming apart at the seams. This is a really cool effect. Like at the borders of the room, you can kind of see what appears to be like melting and bubbling film.
Yeah. This looks great.
Yeah. And she tears up her photo and everything goes back to normal, because if you never submitted the photo, apparently you also never, texted Madsen about this.
There's a reason for it. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah,
it makes sense. It's escaping me at this moment too.
Yeah.
But there's something about never submitting that photo meaning something.
Yeah.
And I can't. It's something Jefferson did.
Okay.
Because he didn't have your photo, he does something.
Yeah.
So he fucks it up.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I'm fine with this being just a general reset. Like, it puts you back in the dark room. Like, that photo was this linchpin between these realities. If you never had it and you never submitted it, then just like what has changed.
Yeah. However, you have talked to David in this situation, or because of the situation, David has figured it out himself.
Right.
At this point.
Mm-hmm.
And you're about to get overdosed by Jefferson. David's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You have to warn him. This is a tricky puzzle, like almost a puzzle thing.
Yeah,
it's a little
I like
frustrating.
This.
I like the first half of it. I think the second half with the cord was annoying to me.
Oh yeah, I think I just got lucky this time and like knew in the second half that if I pulled a cord or not, didn't know. I saw that down there. I was like, oh, that's away from the rest of the stuff. That's probably what they're like. All the things that are obvious are probably red herrings. So I just like did that first.
Yeah.
But so what you're doing is, in the initial version of this, before you know it to backtrack, Jefferson is coming in to overdose you, and then David, this is security guard, he rounds the corner and Jefferson shoots him. Basically, like, okay, that went really badly. And so what this starts is a sequence where you warn David before he rounds the corner, saying like, hey, watch out, he's got a gun. And then there's a
really great, like when you do that, there's a really great delivery where Jefferson says, how did you know that? Like, there's throughout the whole time when they're in conversation, he's been kind of picking at the edges of figuring out something's up.
Yeah. There's something really strange about you.
Yeah. It's kind of great. Like just the idea of like slowly knowing something is weird, but not knowing exactly.
And also saying like, or you've been more fearless than anybody over this past week. And like, I love that as a characterization detail because of course this pervert who is obsessed with the moment that somebody changes, like would notice that.
Yeah. And it's the exact opposite change that he wants to make.
Right.
Like he's, this is a higher thing to knock over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're like walking David through this fight, seeing, how like, okay, well, maybe he's like smack him with that camera. Does that not work? Okay, well, try this. And you're just rewinding to make it so that he succeeds. Ultimately, you have to knock over a fill light in order to distract Jefferson so that Madsen will take him out. Right. So
Yep. He eventually said to him, this is the thing that we don't like about Madsen was right.
Yeah.
Like there was something going on wrong. He was right to do the surveillance.
Yep. So therefore cameras and GPS trackers on everybody is justified. It is the only way to make sure that we can be safe. In the battle between freedom and security, always choose freedom. Or always choose security. Shit. Sorry. I was a bad citizen. Please do not re-educate me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
And he's, you talk to him and you really pour it on. You're like, hey, I was wrong about you. I'm sorry. All these things.
Yeah.
It's like, still hit his daughter, and he's still a piece of shit.
Yeah. And they still, like, says like, hey, where's Chloe? And in this reality, Jefferson absolutely shot Chloe.
Yeah, because you're in the dark room.
Right. And so, if you say that, he says like, oh my God, he killed my stepdaughter. I never got a chance to say I love her. I failed. I didn't protect my family. What's Joyce going to say? And he just straight up shoots Jefferson for doing this. Like,
which, for me, again, righteous anger.
Yes.
Some people got to go.
Yep.
This guy's got to go. So you realize, like, hey, there's one more photo I can go back to where I can actually get the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the one that Warren took. So I had to find Warren. However, and the tornado has hit.
Yes, outside of this bunker. This bunker, strangely enough, is the safest place to be.
Yep. Yeah, and you go outside, you have to get cell phone service, and it's just everything's going crazy. It's a tornado. Yeah. So when you talk to Warren, he says he's at the diner. A lot of people are at the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And you check your messages, and Nathan apologizes and says like what Jefferson's about to do.
Right.
Which, again, fuck that guy. I get that they're trying to make him a victim and stuff, and he's not as bad as Jefferson. But, does not work. This section I find is a little tedious. Saving people on the way to the diner. I think this should have been cut in any world. You're going through the street trying to help people from this tornado that you more or less caused.
Right.
And they're kind of like little side characters that you've met along the way. Mm-hmm. There's a fisherman that you've talked to before. Alyssa, the person you saved before, like she just won't jump down a 4-foot jump.
Right.
This drives me nuts. Like I was just like, why don't you just like sit down? You can sit on the edge of something and then it just becomes like a no-foot jump.
Right.
You've been doing this since you were a little kid.
Yeah.
But you have to give her a little ramp.
Uh-huh. And when you save her, she calls out saying like, hey, some debris flying at you. And then she says, all right, well, okay, I told you to move. I saved your life. Now we're even.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Yeah, it's a good payoff.
But you're making your way to the diner, and there's lots of little puzzles here with like like puzzlets, like stopping the diner from blowing up and doing this whole thing where the fisherman's going to get electrocuted. And
the cool thing about this is that the beach whales have been thrown into the town.
Yeah,
so like you have to like navigate around them.
Yeah, it's surreal. Like it looks cool. Yeah. It's just kind of the puzzle content of it.
You could also have just driven past this in the cutscene.
Yeah, exactly, and just seen it. Like it feels a little obscene.
Yeah.
To make me solve these little puzzles on the way.
Yeah. But you get into the diner, and everybody's kind of holed up here. You can talk with Frank, and you can actually tell him the truth about Rachel. Say like, hey, this is what happened. And you actually have the opportunity, like you can conceal from him that she died from an overdose of the drugs that he sold to Nathan that Jefferson then used.
Yeah.
And it comes out that like, oh my gosh, this is awful. I never thought that would be a consequence of this. And like he truly loved her. Yeah. He was, it's pretty rough stuff. You can kind of talk to a couple other people here. I didn't talk to Joyce because I was kind of beelining towards urgency here, but I did talk to Warren a little bit, and I told him everything that happened, like essentially. A good dude, he believes you. You can have an option to kiss him as well at this point. And I was like, even if my Max was going to end up with Chloe, I was like, this dude like genuinely also loves you. Like you have your little like I know moment with him, of him about to confess that to you and stuff. And I was just like, man, this guy's been like such a good dude and is such a victim of just being in proximity of me. Apparently, depending on what choices you take with him, he can exhibit some like kind of shitty nice guy behaviors, but I did not see it. A little bit. Like, so it happened for me, and the way it manifested was like, oh, if I guess you would rather spend time with Chloe. Like it didn't come out. He didn't like directly say like, I put enough niceness coins into you and therefore you should pay out sex like a slot
this
machine.
Isn't a BioWare game.
Right. He doesn't do that, but he does get a little bit resentful, a little bit jealous if you have made those choices and kind of put Chloe before him.
It just didn't. I mean, I don't remember putting him in front of Chloe, but I just didn't end up seeing those. So
it's complicated. A lot of stuff feeds into it.
So you have his selfie, so you can now shoot back outside the party and tell Chloe about Jefferson. and stuff, and your nose is bleeding, you know, like crazy at this point. Like you're in pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
You know, and she's just like, well, okay, we'll just go find Nathan anyway, and then you just rewind it. And you're like, well, I can't keep fixing everything.
Yeah.
Because all I'm doing is breaking it over and over again.
Yeah. You know, and you have the option here to explain about these alternate paths, because like you let it slip, like, yeah, I've tried to change too much. Like it never comes out. And you can say like, this is what I did. I brought William back, but it was no good. I had to kill you. And she, you know, and instead of, you know, she understands. She's like, oh my gosh, that must've been terrible for you.
Which I really like. Cause again, this version of Chloe is smart and a fighter.
Yes.
You know, and I, you know, gets it. And I was just expecting her not to.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, like, I love it. It's good writing when a character like considers a context, as opposed to like, some of the things I was thinking about with the not very good TV show Game of Thrones coming back, is that like, I keep thinking these characters are acting on single data points that the writers know the audience will remember.
Yeah.
As opposed to like actually thinking about, you know, a situation or considering anyone else's perspective or anything like that.
As opposed to listening.
And as opposed to listening. Exactly. And Chloe listens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And I wish that they would do more with this. And again, sorry to keep bringing up Steins Gate. I just looked. Apparently, Ashley Birch did a voice in the localization of Steins Gate. Weirdly, she also plays a character that it does not get the good side of time travel. I just think that's funny. This is something that I like in time travel stories that I wish more would do, and Steins Gate does really well in a similar context. Like the idea that if you're constantly just living more time than everybody and seeing more of these terrible consequences, what that will do to you from a PTSD standpoint. Like, like nobody around you understands that you have probably been awake for, you know, many, many days in a row. That you know, that you have seen terrible things happen to them over and over again. Just the amount of like just extra miles that puts on a person who is in that situation. I think that is a really good consequence of time travel that is explored a little bit here, but not enough to my liking. Yeah,
it's not something that shows up very often. Yeah, for sure. And then there's some of the things I've thought about when I've fantasized about having time travel powers is aging.
Yep.
You know, or same thing with like freezing time and stuff like that. Like just at some point, like I'm like, that would add up and I'm, you know, 5 years older than everyone around me, 10 years older than everyone around me.
There's a really good Junji Ito short comic about that.
Yeah. Is it the dream one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a little bit about that PTSD angle as well. Like that explores that really well. Yeah. Until the end. Well, yeah. Like I love Junji Ito. I'm slowly realizing that Junji Ito has never ended a thing successfully. Not once in his entire career. He's undeniably my favorite manga artist, and I will go ahead and say, even in the entire manga and anime sphere, I think he is the best. I think he's doing it the best. He's never ended anything successfully, not once.
I don't understand. The ending of that story sucks, but the story itself is really, really good.
The story is great. You know, he just like really, really good little like fragments of ideas, and just never having that Twilight Zone like message coming through in the end. Yeah, you know,
I literally think that story is in a collection called Fragments of Horror.
Yeah. But I mean, it's true even of like Uzumaki, right? Like, you know, I love Uzumaki. It just kind of ends with a thing. It doesn't really complete its ideas or anything. And I'm not saying I need an explanation like, spiral origin. I just mean it doesn't like climax its through lines. Yeah. You know, it's just there's a cursed town and here's the underground of it. And so just endings are hard. So you head back and explain that, and your new plan is say like, hey, let's stop fucking with things. Yeah. You know, as long, you know, Jeff, I'm not going to end up in the dark room. You know, that's the big thing. And let's continue through. Right. You know, and Chloe says like, hey, after this happens, like, make sure you explain this to me. Yeah. Max says, yeah. When these gaps happen, Max does not have future knowledge. Yeah. So I like that they account for that. Yep. Explain to me what happened. Yes. Yeah. And we have a little, you know, jump here and we're back on the shore and the storm is still here. That didn't fix it. Yeah. You know, there's this tearful reunion, but then Max collapses for what is undeniably padding. Yeah, this is rough stuff because there's some good surreal imagery in this. Yeah, but I wish it was like take that and sprinkle it throughout. Like it doesn't have to be this concentrated. or this is too long, and
Yeah.
any gameplay in this is bad
Yeah.
for this next segment. Like this is definitely feels like padding. This is frustrating.
Yeah.
So you were back in the lecture again, and this is like, you're watching it, and then a bird crashes in the window, which is a real ass thing that happens.
Yep.
And then keep crashing, and is really great, covering them with blood. Awesome. Jefferson calls you over, and you have this little interface fuck up thing where you have to say nice things to him, and they're really gross.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be your model.
Yeah.
You're right. Teach me, daddy. Like, it's fucking disgusting.
This could be our dark room. Yeah.
Yeah. Really gross and cool, again, pretty neat. But then it starts to fall apart, where you go in the dorm hallway, and these things that I don't feel like expressions of your subconscious. Like, my version of Max would feel like it was a really good thing that I saved Kate.
Yes.
And Kate's been nothing but grateful and sweet.
Right.
But this dream version of Kate is like, berates you for stopping her from jumping.
Yeah. Now I'll never be alone because my family won't climb off my dick because they are concerned about me.
The subconscious is supposed to be your fears.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They don't have to be rational, but they should be based in like a seed of reality.
Right.
And this doesn't feel like, a lot of this stuff does not feel like it's based in a seed of reality.
We didn't billboard that at all. So, she like this is basically the debt for all of these time jumps that she's doing. Like, she has slipped between. She is not really anywhere in time. She is deeper within her own kind of mind and experience. And this whole kind of surreal subconscious section is showing us the consequences internally of a bunch of choices that she has made. But it feels far more malevolent than that ought to. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Kate berates you for this, and then she opens up her door and it's this guy, and she jumps and leaps. So bad. You go through the dorm halls a couple of times as different people, and you have to like go to the correct room for that person.
Yep. Cool puzzle.
Yeah. You're walking through the classroom hall like from the beginning of the game, except everything is moving in reverse.
And all the text is backwards.
Yeah.
And the song from the American Girl, but not the Tom Petty one, is playing in reverse.
Yeah.
Which it's fine, but it is just padding.
Yeah.
As kind of ideas and stuff.
It's like, what can we do with these assets that we have?
Exactly. And then you get to the shitty forced stealth section. This is really dumb. I didn't lose on this.
Yeah.
Like very often, because you can still rewind.
Yeah, you just rewind until there's an advantageous opening in the patrol.
In the patrol, like a patrol-based stealth thing with no stealth mechanics other than just being able to rewind until it didn't happen is exceedingly shallow.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and they're kind of yelling out things, but like we're running into different teachers.
Yeah, it's a vehicle for barks, but like it's teachers saying things that are vaguely related to their characterization, but
yes,
not really.
And characters that are underdeveloped, like the principal, and stuff are in here. At the end of this, eventually you get to you find there's a bottle that you can pick up, and you say, "Bottles, this must be hell." Again, nodding like, "Hey, we know we fucked up.
Right,
we know that was dumb."
Yeah, I mean, so like that doesn't make it better. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you guys know it.
Yeah,
until you get to like Life is Strange 3 bottles. Bottles are strange.
If you think about it, they are.
They're pretty weird.
Yeah.
More of a can man. You eventually get down to this bench by this lighthouse, but now you're trapped in a snow globe on Chloe's mantle, watching William take his last moments. Like, this is too much. Continuing, you're back in the dark room. And Chloe is berating you with all of her friends, and everyone is kind of horned up for the teacher.
Yeah.
At this point, it's kind of gross. Like everyone just like, I'm gonna fuck the teacher in front of you and stuff. And I'm
everyone's horned up for the teacher. Everybody was horned up for Chloe, for me as well.
Yeah.
Like she was making with Victoria and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't care if Chloe makes out with, like, this just didn't feel like it expressed my subconscious.
Yeah.
If that's the idea. Little puzzle where you're locked in a bathroom and there are all these numbers around and there's a pin pad and only the number that appears in the mirror.
That's a cool Silent Hill puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not exactly a great Life is Strange gameplay thing. It kind of feels like they brainstormed like all of these different ideas and just threw all of them in.
Yeah, there's no such thing as no.
Yeah,
exactly.
It kind of climaxes with a thing that I like, which is you go to the diner, all these people are frozen, and there's one of the Maxes you left behind in your booth.
Yeah.
You can talk to and just kind of says, and this feels like your subconscious, right? Like, hey, you can't just use your time travel power to fix everything, and you're doing this for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And that lands because you have done it for selfish reasons tons of times.
Yes.
Like, I want to get the right answer. I want to look cool in front of the skate idiots. Like things like that. So it's kind of a reasonable accusation.
Yeah, and that is a valid insecurity. She also kind of accused you saying like, hey, you're virtue signaling. She doesn't use those words, but it's like, you really just want people to like you. Like, do you actually care? Like, I don't think you actually care about these people or how it turns out. And says like, hey, Chloe is really bad news. Nothing good has happened since you've gotten here. And I love this because you don't beat yourself. Like, you don't actually, conquer your self-conscious. Your conception of Chloe comes in and says, no, that's bullshit. She does care. Look at how much she's gone through, in order to save just me. Right. And then this leads to this, kind of like, again, this is kind of padding, it's asset reuse, whatever, but you're walking down this long winding path toward the lighthouse of these little dioramas, these little tableaus of moments from the game, specifically your relationship with Chloe, frozen in time, and you're hearing like audio snippets as it goes.
This is okay. Like, I didn't need reminding of this. Like, it felt a little bit cheap, but it's okay.
Again, if it had been, several months in between all of these, I could see this landing better. Yeah,
for sure. It's hard to design for something that people are going to chug and something people are going to sip.
Right.
And that's why the geniuses at Miller Genuine Draft have figured out the formula.
Different powders to put into the...
Yeah, different powders to put in the beer for like chugging or sipping. The beer of champagnes and the champagne of beers. It can be both, I know that's high life. So eventually, you realize, that the storm is causing all this weirdness,
or that you are causing the storm.
Causing all this weirdness, from the storm.
Yeah.
It's a consequence of using your powers. It's chaos theory.
Right.
And Chloe even says this. He's like, you've done all this stuff to try to save me, but you're destroying. This tornado is a result of that.
Yeah.
Like, it must be my destiny to die. Again, destiny is dumb, but put it on hold for a second.
Yeah.
She's like, this is. You saving me is what fucked this up. Go back to the beginning and don't do any of this.
Yeah. Like, just, I'm going to force you. I'm going to make my case to you that we trade. And Max says, I won't trade you for everybody, because, like, this is, kind of another version of, when Chloe was bedridden, when she was asking you, like, saying, hey, for the love of my family, for the people around me, you need to not just like, I have to go, if it's between me and the town, it has to be the town. Yeah.
And you get a little choice, like a little choice thing pops up. That's like, save Chloe, save Arcadia Bay, at this point. So I don't like, I save Chloe.
Oh yeah. My first go, I saved Chloe too. It seems, and I didn't even read, so I was surprised when they kissed. When Max goes in for the deep kiss. For me, it just, like, as part of a coming of age story and as part of a superhero origin story, like the place where you have to go cannot, or the place where you came from cannot be anymore. Right.
Well, and there's also some, absolutely. And there's some mechanical things too, right? Yeah. Like going back in time to not change time. Like, it feels like you're doing the thing that causes damage in the first place.
Right.
You don't know
what
that's going to do.
That it's,
Yeah, there's no guarantee that that's going to be a thing. So it felt a little bit tricky. But apparently, like, as far as the amount of, like, I watched both the endings, and the other ending is much more developed.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of wide consensus that the intended ending is that you sacrifice.
Right.
Chloe, and that's what brings up those tropes that we brought up like 3.5 hours ago about people saying this is a bury your gays game, is because the idea is supposed to be you have to sacrifice Chloe.
Yeah.
And I just, like, to me, it didn't even seem like a choice. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, it just, it's after being through all the stuff. And I have also, like, I'm from the Midwest. There are tornadoes.
Yeah.
Towns survive them.
Yeah, everybody is saying, like, oh, all of Arcadia Bay is going to die. Is that the case? Like,
it's not the case. Like, if you choose to sacrifice her, or I guess, like, if you choose to save her, rather, you drive out of town, so your car made it.
Yeah,
like and you drive by and there's stuff happening. It's like. Yeah. It doesn't seem like everyone in the town died.
Yeah. And just, in my first playthrough, so I chose the other ending this time just so I could see it. In my first playthrough, I was so ride or die with Chloe regardless, for everything else. Like, it just made sense, to pull a Cormac McCarthy line, each was the other's world entire. That this is what all of this has been leading up to, in the euthanasia, situation that we talked about before, you got rid of her because there was no hope for her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's also, I mean, this is me being YouTube film analyst guy, where I'm like, oh, plot hole, blah, blah. It's not really a plot hole. At no point did anyone say like, hey, let's evacuate the town, which kind of drives me a little bit nuts.
Yeah.
Like, not if you just say there's a storm coming and there's no evidence of it, people wouldn't necessarily take your word at it, but you could tell the people you cared about that stuff, and maybe they would buy it.
Yeah.
And there was 2 moons the other night, and the
if you need a warning.
Yeah, if you need a warning, that like weather's been really fucked up.
Yeah.
I feel like there probably could have been a choice other than, so the way I kind of read this was like sacrifice Chloe or sacrifice, 1/3 of the houses in town. And I was like, okay, fuck the houses,
Yeah. And at this point, there's probably somebody out there listening saying, "You guys are fucking psychopaths." You would, town of Arcadia Bay, what's the population of not Eugene, whatever it is, Astoria? Probably like realistically, like 15,000 people. You're gonna sacrifice 15,000 people to save one person? Well, Charlie, problem's complicated, dog.
Well, yeah, and I just didn't see it as sacrificing them. Yeah. I think that is what they want you to do. For it to have proper weight, you have to think of it that way, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily a failure. It just like ended up becoming still a tough choice, but not maybe as tough as it was meant to be. Like the text of the decision is tougher than the actual lived experience for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about what happens with each of these. If you decide to save Chloe, regardless if your relationship meter with her is high enough, you kiss after you make the decision. If you save Chloe, the town gets rolled, right? Just destroyed. It was devastating. And Chloe and Max, they drive away. They drive away in Chloe's car. Yeah, go to LA.
You go to LA. You're Rachel now.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you go back to the first scene, the lecture, and you just sit there. You just let it happen.
Well, so you go back to specifically like the travel happens because she has the butterfly photo.
Oh, right. You're in the bathroom.
So you're in the bathroom around the corner listening to Nathan shoot Chloe.
Yeah. And the butterfly, which is another like spirit animal thing, flies out the window. You get the photos of the events of Chloe and Max together throughout the game changing. Nathan and Jefferson both get arrested. Yeah. But you're alone at the lighthouse, and you are at Chloe's funeral. And a butterfly lands on the casket, and you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
and
Max smiles.
Yeah. Max smiles. The spirit butterfly did the thing. And that is Life is Strange.
I like this quite a bit, for all the flaws that we talked about. This is still a really effective. I mean, it feels like an indie comic almost.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And, even if some of the emotional stuff ended up being cheap, I felt like there was enough behind it, specifically with the relationship between Max and Chloe. That to me is the selling point. That's the emotional core of this, which is good because that's what they intended. So,
success.
Yeah. Success. 10-4.
Yeah. Agree. Like, I think that's true. I think that this is, has the emotional weight that it needs to have. The main characters do the work that they need to do, to make it like a good story that gets in the way of itself from time to time. And you just have to be okay with that kind of story.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to be like, okay with this type of game. If you're down for watching 5 movies of generally good but semi-variable quality, do it. It's good stuff. I had real emotions while playing it, and was very compelled by like kind of the page turning nature.
Yeah. So the first couple of episodes are kind of a bummer. Once it gets going, it's really hard to stop.
Yeah. Yep. And then it ends with a little bit of flab, but I was drawn forward.
Yeah.
Through the flab, so it's still I was still kind of pulled through. So
yeah. And I don't know, like I've got a weak spot for stories, about youth, about growing up, right?
Mhm.
Mountain Goats, Transcendental Youth, great album about some of the same ideas in this,
We
without the time travel stuff.
We didn't really talk about it, but Max's whole thing is she has a reference to Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah,
Like she's Max
yeah.
Caulfield. She has a Catcher in the Rye, like a fake poster of that.
Mhm.
There's a very explicit Easter egg about it, where there's a hunting cap, and you say like only a phony would wear that hunting cap,
Yeah,
or something like that.
You know,
I didn't get a lot of Catcher in the Rye DNA from this, other than the fact that it's a coming of age story.
yeah, coming of age story, and just Holden Caulfield's like mistaken understanding of that poem is that he needs to be the person who saves
everyone.
Yeah, like who saves everyone, who saves the kids from corruption. Like there's a little bit of that there. The boarding school idea, but
they have very different kind of relations with the outside world.
yes,
As a thing and stuff. And that that was it's good. It's good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the game a lot. It's as far as these kind of like very narrative based games we've done for the show, I think it's real up there.
Mhm.
I am a little bit. I haven't played them. I'm a little bit bummed out by the fact that there are these sequels.
Yeah.
Like I'm, just the same team doing a different cast and exploring a different idea. I'm down for.
Mhm.
If it is this idea of there is this time travel power or something like that chooses people who are in unique situations,
Mhm.
and like gives like I don't want the extended universe.
Right.
And the prequel is not very interesting to me just because I like the characters, but I also feel like this actually operates really well as a story.
Oh yeah, it does.
And
it's risky. It's risky when you extend, right?
I feel that quite a bit about it. Like I feel really good about having this experience as it is.
People that I trust, and by people that I trust, I mean Allison.
Okay.
Allison has tweeted, or has said like, "Hey, don't sleep on Life is Strange 2." Saying like, yeah, this is actually really good. I didn't interrogate it further. I also don't know if that like Life is Strange 2 has time travel shit to it. I think that it might just be like a sequel in name only.
I think it would be very strange for them to not. So I know that the fantastic Megorium of Wonder Emporium kid or whatever that game is called. I know that it has really fantastic elements, but they're not superpowers. It's like imagination.
Yeah.
Like based, like he goes in alien world and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Just straight up adventure game with a realistic setting in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them doing it.
Right.
I can't imagine there not being some kind of gimmick.
Right.
Either in terms of like, I mean, there are supernatural elements in this world, right? So it'd be very weird if they just said, here's a group of characters where that stuff doesn't happen to. Like that would be extremely weird.
Yeah. This is where two things come into conflict. This will sound like a failure to do research. I just haven't looked into that because I want to preserve that first impression. I want to be surprised by it.
Yeah. I'm real curious. I'll wait to hear from people about it. Like I don't have an unlimited appetite for these type of games. It's something I'm in the mood for from time to time.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes
also, Life is Strange 2 is not finished. And that is a real bummer.
Yeah. I thought I had an unlimited appetite after The Walking Dead, and then like
that was lightning in a bottle.
Was lightning in a bottle. There are some games that are good in that.
Yeah.
That Telltale did as well, but like it wasn't like I just wanted that forever.
Yeah.
But as it is, I'm really glad we experienced it. I'm very thankful, that we had the opportunity and that it was listener supported. Yeah. So
good stuff.
Absolutely good stuff. If you have anything to say about Life is Strange, hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
Yep.
By the 15th.
Deadline is the 15th. It's the 15th of every month. You can also write in if you have thoughts about Batman Arkham Asylum or Hitman 2016.
Yeah, I'm going to start Hitman tonight.
Yeah. Ooh.
Extremely exciting.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
I know I'm going to love it. It's been in this weird pocket. Like I have a couple games like saved up where I'm just like, I'm going to love this.
Yeah.
Just as soon as I just know this is for me. And it's just, So.
Yeah. So we also have coming up in the month after that our final theme. No, not our final theme month. One more theme month. One of our remaining theme months.
Yep, we have two more theme months. This is one of them.
Yes. Which is puzzles.
Yep.
Puzzle games.
So we're doing the Seventh Guest / the 11th Hour. We are doing Into the Breach, which is don't add us. It's a puzzle game.
Yep.
We are doing what we're calling the Golden Age of Tetris. So talking about recent Tetris variants and Tetris variants across the board and Tetris itself.
Yep.
And then for patrons only, we're doing the Adventures of Lolo.
Yes, because it would be very difficult under our current format to do a premium episode about Tetris.
Yeah, or any of the games we had that month.
Yes.
Like we thought about it, like Into the Breach would be difficult. Like in the second half of that will be the squad mechanics, which are interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not the traditional thing we, usually kind of put behind the break, which is, narrative content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of those are coming up. We've got a lot of 2019 planned out so far. It's all really exciting. It's good time for the show.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to join us, hit us up. And if you want to get that premium Lolo episode, Hitman 2016, will be partly behind that. Hit us up at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yeah. And
$5 gets you all of that stuff and a bunch more stuff.
Yes. Thank you so much for everybody who has supported us so far. It's been good.
Yeah, absolutely. Really do appreciate it. Ratings and reviews are very useful and appreciated. If you've joined us, on the Patreon, if you like the new content, if you like what we're doing, let us know.
Yeah.
It's meaningful to have that feedback.
Yes.
And I think that's about it.
Think so.
All right. Yeah. So until next time, what should they watch out for?
Watch out for your selfie.
Things you do just to see how bad they'll make you feel. Sometimes you try to freeze time till the thoughts are a blur of spinning wheels.